Okay, we are live. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Georgette, and I am the host of Real Talk with Miss G and the gang. The gang are here, and we're missing a couple of people. I'm not sure what happened, but I hope they're okay. Now, I have Dr. Tanya Fowler. I have Auntie Barbara. I think most of you guys know who Auntie Barbara is. And I love her, and I love Dr. Tanya Fowler. And I have my boy, Darren Guai, who I've known him and his wife for a gazillion years now, Mary, and he's going to discuss a little bit about CPS. Every one of us are going to have a story to tell and information to share with you guys. The meaning of this, why I started this, is because I'm trying to bring awareness all over the United States. Because oftentimes there's a lot of family members who actually believe their daughter or sons or are the perpetrators, are the bad ones, are the bad apple in the family, which is not true because CPS divides families apart. That's very important for you guys to understand. There's a lot of people in the United States, in fact, who are my friends, I've known for over 30 years. And they think the system works until they watched my shows, all of them. I'm talking about from CEOs down, people I've known for most of my life. And they did not realize the system is like this. So I've been trying to come together and how to bring this wide for everyone to see. Because oftentimes I hear stories about, people going online, they're talking about their stories, um they're venting out. But I want results, because without the people, we don't have anything right now, because we don't have, our voices are not heard. So I decided to bring a strong group of people with me, because I want them part of this. And I want you guys, all the audience, every mother and father, to be part of this. Even if you don't have a CPS case, educate yourselves. Be part of this, because without our voices, we are never going to be heard. I kid you not. We are dealing with a demonic entity. So we all need to be one hand together. Put your differences aside and start focusing on how to stop the corruption. Now, I want to start off with, you know, in Georgia, same-sex couple charged with sexual abuse, abusing adopted sons. They adopted two sons, and this information is on Fox 27. Fox 27. I mean 26. Sorry, I take that back. Fox 26. This information is all over. So those two couple adopted two boys from foster, from CPS. The two boys were sexually molested. They would do videos, sexual videos, you know, the voice interacting in sexual activities with other couple, same sex couple, and boys, other boys. And CPS was reported several times, but social workers refused to really investigate, because everything they said, it was unfounded. Unfounded. How in the heck is it unfounded? But how is it that CPS workers really find shit on dirt on parents when there was no dirt, when there was nothing? It was just based on unfounded allegation. So, but yet you jeopardize the child and the mother. For what? For your own gain? For your money? For your incentives? So to me, I see that as demonic. So when I say a demon, they're demons. Only a demon wants to destroy families. Only a demon wants the husband and wife not to be together. So they want to eliminate the husband so the wife can be alone, so they can target the child. That's why they keep the husband silent. That's why they tell the husband, leave your wife, and tell the wife to leave her husband. For what? For what do you want them to leave each other? For what? See, that's my question to CPS. And oftentimes I talk about my friend who is now really close to me now, who was an investigative social worker. She filled me in on the dirt of CPS. So anything they learn in their training is void once you go work in the department, because now you have to follow the guidelines of the idiotic, stupid piece of shit supervisor. So everything they learned, hey, you got to listen to me. So what do? They set them up. There's a foster home that wants to adopt a biracial baby. Well, let me go tell my cousin in the hospital, who is a registered nurse. Let me tell her what type of baby we're looking for. That cousin fabricates information so the social worker can go and take that baby based on unfounded drug result test. By the way, when they do a drug test on you, by law, they have to show you the results. And by law, you're entitled to get another test immediately. I mean, I hear Mr. Davis says that all the time. So if he's saying it, it has to be true. He's not going to be doing this for 37 years if he doesn't know what he's doing. So, but in the moment when a mother just delivered a baby, the mother's already emotional. They're not thinking straight. All she's thinking about is my baby. But they alienate the mother from the child. And 60% of the time, the father, the biological father, doesn't even know what happened. He goes to buy flowers and a gift, comes to the hospital, baby gone. The mother is so distraught, she can't even find her cell phone to call for help because she wants her baby. So to me, the system failed, and it fails every single day. Every single day. But yet you Americans out there think that a mother who lost her child, or a father who lost his child, or a couple lost their child, they're automatically deemed unfit. Who the hell are you to judge? When did America become so trusting of the system? You guys see the system falling every single day. And you guys still believe the system works? What about all the children who are abused? Why aren't they removed from the home? Why is it that a child who is really severely abused run for help while the neighbors and everybody's like, the whole street, hey, we called. We called, but social workers refused to come. Why? I'll tell you why. Because they want an undamaged child. The damaged child is not adoptable. Do you guys understand that an adoptive home requests for what they want? They don't want a cocaine addict mom that just delivered a baby. So what do? They go after the healthy ones, the poor family, the poor mother that's on Medi-Cal, delivered a child in a county hospital. That's who they go after. They don't go after PPO moms. They don't do that. They don't go after them. They go after the counties. So you guys need to be mindful. You guys need to be alert and pay attention. Without the people together, we are nothing. We are the voice for ourselves and others. We are the ones who pays these idiots salary. Remember that. We pay for their salary. That's why our rights are destroyed. Why? Because these entities set rules in place to break your rights, to violate it. Because that's their rules. So they know you can't afford an attorney. They know that you're handicapped financially, and they target those who are financially handicapped. Oftentimes, the social worker will ask the parent, can you afford an attorney? Why do they ask that? If you guys really think about it, think back. The social worker asking you if you can afford an attorney.
Yep.
That's because their answer is going to determine her strategy or his strategy to destroy the case. If you say, I have the ability to hire an attorney, and I will hire an attorney, the social worker is going to ask you, who are you looking to hire? They know what's up. They know who's good and who's bad. So when an attorney is a great attorney who fights them, they're going to distract you and tell you they're bad attorneys. You should hire this one. I recommend that one. And that's why you guys are not aware of the trickery of Satan. These people are just, they're the same as the drug cartels. They sex traffic children. They sex traffic children.
Yes.
And that's what we are hearing. How come CNN, NBC, and all these channels do not report the shit that's going on? But yet they will report a mother that killed her child. But yet they don't say that social worker failed to help that child. But they don't report the real deal on social media. I mean, the TV news. I don't hear that. So why? Why is that? Why is that? Because they want to keep it silent. They want to keep it silent. So I suggest you guys watch that video I was telling you about. It's on YouTube, Fox 26. That's the channel. And the title of the video is Same Sex Couple Charged with Sexually Abusing Adopted Sons. And by the way, like, I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but those couple are very rich. Very rich. They have a lot of money. And Barb, I know you know what I'm talking about because you also researched the same story.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
and to me, it goes even beyond the money.
Right.
They want to keep their jobs and think about, because I've experienced this where I had to report a foster parent. Guess who didn't investigate that abuse happening in the foster parent's house?
Mm-hmm.
And you want to know why?
Why?
Who placed the children in that house? So who's ultimately responsible for the abuse? They don't. They know. I could easily lay out who's responsible for what happened.
Right.
The state proved me right. The county covers it up because they know I can prove it. And ultimately, if I were to sue for all that, who would be at the top of the list to be responsible for it? The person who placed the children there. So they're going to do everything they can to cover up what is happening to these foster children and children that CPS has adopted out. How many adopted children are killed every year? They're going to cover it up because ultimately they are the ones responsible, and they want to protect their paychecks, their bonuses, and their jobs and their power.
Yep.
They want to keep that. They are addicted to power, and
Exactly.
money equals power, and they don't want to lose their money or their power.
Right.
And ultimately, the deciding factor whether or not they investigate, did I place that child there? Oh,
Correct.
I placed that child there. I'm not investigating because I'm putting myself at the top of the head. If this foster mother or these foster parents are convicted of doing this, whose fault is it ultimately? Yes, they laid the hands on the child, they did the damage, but who not only put the child there, but forced the child to stay there?
Correct. And
I
did you know
forced the child to stay there for like 6 months after the state said, yeah, they shouldn't be there.
exactly? But Ann Barb, did you, or all of us actually on this platform, did you guys know that the social workers, um, they get their incentives is so important to them? Did you guys know that in order for you to do this type of job, you have to be able to sleep at night. If you can't sleep at night, then this is not the job for you, because you have to be very dark inside to do this for money.
Yeah.
A social worker will go into a job with a crappy 1987 Toyota Corolla, and while she's in the job for the first year, she all of a sudden can afford a Tesla or a Lexus or a freaking Mercedes. I have seen with my own eyes. With my own eyes. I have seen them plot with DPSS. DPSS, collecting food stamps and cash aid and Medi-Cal, when they know how many children that mother has. How many children is in the system collecting food stamps for? How old are the children? What do the children look like?
Exactly.
You don't know that? Do you guys know that if you're in the system, DPSS, for a year, they target you within that year? Be careful. Be careful, because the government is not here to help us. They are here to break us. Because in order for a narcissist or a sociopath to take control over you, they have to break you.
Yes.
So it's either you're breakable or unbreakable. So don't fuck with yourself and pay attention to your life and your children's lives. If you're doing drugs, stop that shit. Stop that shit. Because it's only going to put you to sleep in the dark. It's not going to help you. It's not. If you're an alcoholic, stop that shit. What is it going to do for you? It's not going to do shit for you. It's going to put you to sleep. That's it. Numb you. Why do you want to be numbed? I say to people I know, put on the whole armor of God and fight. I'm not saying go fight physically. I'm not saying go physically harm them. But the whole armor of God is have faith and know God is with you. But oftentimes when the devil brings us chaos, he wants to distract us from God. Or from whoever you want to believe in. Me, I believe in Christ.
Yes.
And I will always believe in God. And I am always, no matter what struggle I'm facing, God is number one. 100%. So I want you guys to understand this. We all face trauma. I chose not to resort to drugs and alcohol because I never liked that. My mom and dad used to say, this is only temporary fix to numb you for a brief minute while the enemy is working on your life.
And
you
it
don't
actually
want the enemy to have that type of power. You don't want that. The cartel's job, what do you think their job is? To numb everyone so they can have control.
Mm-hmm.
The government, same thing. Look what Pfizer had to pay, billions and billions of dollars, because why? Gave us wrong information about the vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
All the fucking hype, people losing their job because they refuse to be vaccinated. This is our government. Wake up, America. Wake the hell up and pay attention and defend the rights of parents and children. Children, they are the future. And we are destroying the future by brainwashing children. Brainwashing them. I have amazing co-host with me right now, Dr. Fowler, Auntie Barb. I like to call her Auntie Barb because it's cute. And I have Darren and his wife, Mary, who can't join us right now because they heard bad news on their case. So all these people are good people. They're good parents. They're good members of society. Why are you attacking good members of society, evil? Because they want them to not exist. Not exist. Good? No. Bad? Yes. That's why a victim is not believed in family court. That's why a victim is not believed in CPS court. And that's why they see the victim as the perpetrator and the perpetrator as the victim. This is corruption. I mean, Dr. Fowler and Darren, I don't know who wants to speak first. Darren, you want to go,
Well, I just want to add, I just kind of want to do what you're saying, and then we could go back to the format or whatever, however you wanted to do it. But what people don't understand and what Georgette's saying is the good people get left in the dark, and this is going to be why. And this is, if you know about corruption and you know what it's about the injustice. If they give the winning people, the good people, the people of God and all that, their children back and let them move on in society, they get no money. See what they get by giving the good parent, the bad parent, the kid back. Well, they spend the good parent that's just been TPR'd, no more kid, no more nothing. They send them into a downward spiral, which then they do go to addiction. They go to drugs, and they get to insert themselves back into the criminal system. So they get a double banger now. Now they get the money from the child that they've put into the state's custody, giving it to someone else. They've made two people that are completely been God-fearing, white picket fence American families, spun them out of control. Because once you've taken the people's children, you've taken their soul. Like, you have no worth, you have no reason. If you've reproduced, that is your reason for living. That is the reason for our existence, is reproduction. And when people steal that and take it, now they've made people into bad people. So this works good for the devil, and it works good for the government, because now they're going to take money from the jail money that they're, ultimately is going to come of the family that's been TPR'd, because they're downward spiral. So they got money on the criminal side there. They know there's plenty of reports that show that taking kids from their home and removing them and putting them into a foster home, if you go into ACEs, you go into any of that stuff, it shows that the outcome is not good. You are way better off leaving, even if the family isn't so great. And there is signs of minimal abuse or whatever, there's ways to educate them and keep that child in their home, because regardless, you took a child away from thy mother and thy father. You do not do that. God tells us you don't do that. He gives us that promise that respect thy mother and father. And this CPS agency is destroying family values and chinking the armor and security. Now, a child thinks, oh, love my mommy and daddy. I love my mommy and daddy. They're everything. Think about, like, mommy, daddy, get into bed. Now, you get your child back after being gone for a year, 2 years, 6 months, whatever. You aren't that strong person anymore. You've caused that child to have second thoughts and doubts of security with you. Think about it. That's what they've done. The second they intrude your life, remove that child, they have removed the strongest bond that your child has with you. And you are never, it's just like this.
Mention what you told me yesterday, Darren. Mention what you told me last night about the bond between a mother and child. And he's a father
too. So I'm a father. I love my daughter very much. And yeah, we just lost our appeal for the TPR today and everything. And it hurts me. It hurts me a lot. But it hurts her more. The mother's bond with a child, you will never experience as a father. Like, I love her, but the father doesn't grow that baby for 9 months. The father doesn't nourish that baby. That baby is physically a part of the mother. It feeds off of the mother to survive. So removing that, that is just disgusting. The fact that they even allowed that to take place, and people don't understand what they've done. And they, it's not parents, it is parents, father and mom, but the mother has way more invested in it mentally, physically, overall. The mothers need to be nourished. They need to be nurtured. They don't need to be destroyed in any faction. Even if they're bad mothers, fix the mother so that she can fix her own, because they are one and the same.
It's very
that's
true.
Scientifically proven.
It's very true, but there's I'm gonna answer Joel Shoemaker. I'm gonna respond to something he posted, and it really caught my eye after I mentioned this to you guys. What Darren said is 100% true. 100% true. My dad used to tell me that, Darren. I think I told you the story. My dad used to tell me on Father's Day to go kiss my mom, because he gave her credit. He gave my mother credit for being a hands-on mom, a hands-on wife, raising 5 kids, being the teacher, the chauffeur, the cook, the chef, the waiter. I mean, my mom was the maid. Everything to us, everything. So my dad, while he was working, right, to bring food to the table, my mom had a harder job, believe it or not. My dad used to say, your mother works 24/7. Because when you're sick, she's up all night making sure you're breathing. You're there, okay. I'm sleeping so I can go to work the next day. That's how my dad taught us. The mother is the glue that holds everything together. The father is the protector of the home. So that's why what I've noticed in America, in European countries, family life is number one. Number one. And they focus on that. But what I've noticed in America, as the older I get, is that America divides family. Divides family. Yet they say God, you can't mention God, right? State, well, religion separate. But when you swear under oath, they say, swear under oath. So help me God. Which God are you swearing under? America. Which God are you using? Because there's the devil. He is a God to a lot of people now. He's being worshipped everywhere. There's satanic churches everywhere. So why are you adopting children to Satanists? Why? And babies. Why? Why are you adopting babies and children, young children to these people? Why are you putting children in the homes of a child molester? Why? Why? Why?
That's
All
just
of
this
a
the
sudden, you don't know the foster family is not registered.
that's the
Sex
devil's work.
offender?
That's the devil's
Exactly.
work.
Exactly. How is a social worker going to find dirt that doesn't even exist on families? But
Right.
yet they fail to see the foster
They,
home.
but I know we're not supposed to do this. They came and they took our kid. They put her to a foster home. It took
Mhm,
me 32 minutes. 32 minutes. I found these people
mhm,
online.
mhm,
They had voyeur cameras in their house. They did all kinds of porn activity on voyeur
mhm,
cams. The children that lived in this house had witnessed, God bless them, and this is nothing against them. However, the children that lived in this house had witnessed their father get stabbed in the face by their mother, and then these children burnt the house down.
mhm.
All right. There's all kinds of other news. And like I said, nothing against those children. They had their own traumas to deal with. So I'm not meaning any disrespect that way. My daughter didn't even get 5 feet without us. But in a matter of an hour's time, she went from a perfectly safe world into a world of voyeur cams, seeing malicious, nasty things happening. Um, and the list just goes down the line.
Mhm.
So tell me
And
how the hell she's safer there than she
then
was with here when there
exactly.
wasn't even any abuse or neglect
Mhm.
at all. The only thing
That's
that was found on doctors' notes and things that they had of her was how great she was and how forward she was. And her hair, she had a mat in her hair, a gnat in her hair. By God, that's never happened to any girl with long black brown hair.
wow.
That was the degree of abuse, was the mat in her hair. That she had. But seriously, these people, they're not doing their homework. They don't want to do their homework.
No.
These people are terrible, terrible, terrible people. They don't care about you. They will lie at no. Every one of the 10 Commandments, these bastards will break. If you talk to anybody about their cases and talk to them about the casework and the things that they've done, guarantee you they've broken at least 3 or 4 of those 10 Commandments. No
Mhm.
doubt in my mind. No
But
doubt.
wait a minute. Wait a minute. I want to mention something about the Ten Commandments and God that just, it's been in my heart for months. I heard stories of parents, the media, TV news people reported that a father killed his child in public place outside. I don't know which state it was, but I will find out. And somebody reported it and took a video of it. They came, arrested the father. He stabbed the child like a 2 year or a 3 year old to death, literally several times. One on the head, all over his body as well. Now, that man was talking about God because
Yeah.
he mentions God and he's Christian. He goes to church, and that's bullshit because the
Yeah.
devil knows the Bible
He
better
needs
than
his
you
host.
and me, because nothing in the Bible or about God that gave you permission to abuse and kill anyone, including your child or yourself. So, if and then of course the media and the social workers, from that man's statement, then they see every other Christian as crazy. But that's what Satan wants. Demons want you and everyone else to really think of God as a no one,
Right.
because they claim Christians are crazy.
So
No, God is not crazy. Christians are not crazy. The devil knows the
right,
Bible and he can claim he is Christian. So
right, and
you know them by their walk, not by their actions. So their actions, if it tells you otherwise,
See, they want to divide us by our faith too, or from our faith, because what keeps us going? What has gotten me through this is my faith.
I know.
So they wanted to tear you
break
apart
you
from
down.
your faith, because what do you lean on? We lean on our church families, our communities, all that. They want to separate you from anything.
Isolation.
That possibly provide you with comfort and support, so that you can't keep fighting.
No,
if you're
right.
totally beaten down and alone and have no
You're
faith,
done.
right?
For
all of us, what keeps us going? Our faith.
Anybody that's anybody knows, if they've been through the problem with addiction and everything, and they fight that, the number one sign of someone that has an addiction is isolation, because you remove yourself. So in essence, these people do the same thing. They force you into isolation because of the stigma that goes with it. I'll admit that I was once one of those people that if you told me your child was taken by CPS, I was bang, wall comes down. I don't even have time to talk to you. You must be the biggest piece of trash on this earth.
Exactly.
Because for them to remove that child from you, you must be a god awful person. So
imminent
I don't even have
danger is not
anything.
Imminent danger is not a gum on your hair, stuck on your hair. That's not imminent danger. Imminent danger is not a bruise on the knee because the child was playing.
That's not imminent danger at that moment.
Exactly. That's not imminent danger. So, but again, they will choose good children, healthy children, to get them adopted or placed with family. I mean, in a foster home. I have a perfect example. Other than Auntie Barb and Darren and his wife and Liz and Dan and all these people that I know personally, I love them. And when I love someone, that means I literally know more about them.
It's a real thing.
Yeah, it's a real thing. It's not just that I just know nothing about them and I love them. I know them. I spoke to them. I communicated with them. Like Liz and Dan, for example, I've been talking to them forever. Like I've never once, like I can't process why they don't have, they're not parents. I can't process that because the system fucked their lives, fucked them up. Darren the same way. His wife is fantastic. Fantastic mom. Same thing with Dr. Tanya. She's a family member who's trying to get, the child with her. She's a grandmother. Am I right or wrong, Dr. Tanya?
You're correct.
And she is outstanding. She's educated. There's nothing.
You're not good enough, though, right? You're not good enough for your child, your grandchild.
It's not good enough for CPS, though. It's not. It's not good enough.
Not even close.
Go ahead, Tanya. I mean, Dr. Tanya. I'm calling everybody aunt. Dr. Tanya, please share a little bit with everybody about what you had to endure and what is happening right now in your case.
Thank you so much for asking. I was first privileged to join you, Ms. Tuin.
My pleasure.
And Mr. Davis about 2 years ago in October, when I had my middle grandson, who was then age 10, who had been taken into what we call DHS custody here in the Philadelphia area. Mm-hmm. You guys call it CPS. We call it DHS here, which is Department of Human Services.
I call it piece of shit, but go on.
Got you. And the mother, which would be my daughter, is not capable. The father was not present. Mm-hmm. My grandson had been placed with me through the agency. And at that time, my daughter kidnapped him from me in a public park. Mm-hmm. When the agents came to her, and she did this specifically, and then she called the agency so that they would come and get my grandson and put him into foster care. Mm-hmm. That was her intention. Mm-hmm. Why? Because not to besmirch her character, pardon me, but she has mental illness in the acute range and was compounded with a drug and alcohol abuse record with many instances with the law, child abuse conviction for my older grandson, who is now 21 years old. And so in her ideal world, you see, when you spoke earlier about demons, and you spoke about demon possession. In my case, the demons begin with my daughter. Because irrespective of her drug and alcohol abuse, if she had a different mindset, her first mindset would be, I want my mama to have my babies. But in her mind, I have taken her children away from a loving, capable mother.
Mhm.
And in her mind, I seek to use them for resources. In her mind. So in her mind, I am to be assassinated, which is why we're interfacing with DHS. Here in Philadelphia area, we have an area called Frankfurt Avenue. Maybe you've seen it on national television.
I have.
The people there are horribly afflicted with every kind of drug that you can imagine, and their drug use causes them to kind of stand still like stalactites. And
Mhm.
I feel in my heart and soul as a mother and as a human being that most of those people who are they're already dead. We call it the zombie land. But most of them who have children, when given a choice, would say, please take my kids to my mother.
Mm.
That's not my daughter.
But like I said earlier, Dr. Fowler, is that the your daughter is drugged. She's using drugs, and the drugs is what hinder people, because drugs are they get to your psyche, right? And you can't think straight, and that's why drugs is everywhere now. I mean, I found out drugs I didn't even know about. I had to get educated myself. But that's why. But DHS did not want to place your grandchildren with you. Why?
Thank you for asking. At that point, she kidnapped that child from the park. DHS took him at her command. They put him into foster care. For the next year, I spent all of my savings with lawyers to get him back. He's now out of foster care and unified with his father. Father and I do now have a lovely custody agreement after all of the agonizing months of alienation and separation. And it's just now, after weekend visits, that my grandson, who's now 11, is beginning to immerse himself in the trust. It's a little by little, after all of the alienation that we all talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Feed forward, August 23rd, 2023, recently, my daughter had another baby. This infant was 5 months old when I got a call from CPS that the baby was at a local hospital. Could I come and pick up the baby from the parking lot of the emergency room of the hospital? The mother had been discovered in a public CVS drugstore bathroom in what the OPC, the Order for Protective Custody, describes as being in a catatonic and unresponsive state on the floor of the bathroom with the baby.
Mm-hmm.
I immediately went and picked up the baby. I brought her home. I was delighted to have her. I was in the world of bliss. Within 24 hours, when the social worker came to visit me, she was supposed to present me with something called the Pennsylvania statute is Pennsylvania 42-6330. It's the shelter care letter. She didn't have it. Where's the letter? They're still deciding. I know that's a lie. I know better than to say that's a lie, because I know, as Barbara and I were discussing, the hearing for the shelter care occurs within 72 hours, no matter what.
Uh-huh.
That I can certify. If anything else gets slippy, slidey in these proceedings, that hearing is going to occur. The judge is there. The stakeholders are all there. The shelter care placement for the baby is decided, and I am identified as MGM, which is maternal grandmother. That court order, that's an order then, is given to me, because that enables me to show the world that I have the baby.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately after that, I'm supposed to be presented with a letter on Philadelphia stationery
Mm-hmm.
that is the kinship award letter.
Mm-hmm.
That names me now, and it endows me specifically with the authority to resource the baby or the child for medical and education.
Mm-hmm.
Because just because I have the shelter order, that doesn't identify me, doesn't name me, but this letter does.
Mm-hmm.
This social worker from last year, who was responsible for kidnapping my grandson, Jaden, sorry to name it, and never returning him to me, is now the same social worker.
Mm-hmm.
And she's withholding these instruments and the safety plan. Without the three of those, I can do nothing. I have fostered over 11 children, not through the foster system, but just through people that have a need. And I've already raised 2 grandchildren and much more. I know perfectly well, I think, what to do for a child. And in my esteem, when I take a child in, your child and a child, within 24 hours, I want to take that child for a full medical examination. There may not appear to be anything wrong with them. That's wonderful. But suppose there is something wrong with them that's underlying. They need attention. We need to document this. Without those instruments, I couldn't take my granddaughter for urgent care. I knew immediately this was a setup to take her from me.
Mm-hmm. And did you guys know that the system is designed to get incentive bonuses when the children are placed in a non-family member home, even though the law states that family members come first, but they will find any reason possible to make sure those family members are not having the child unless the family member agrees to become a foster licensed parent. So when they transfer the child to them, if they like them, that is, if that foster aunt or grandmother hates the mother or the dad, get it? I mean, they have to really hate them. Like, oh, I can't stand them. I've always had problems with them, blah, 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 whatever. Then CPS automatically, attach themselves to them. Get it? So basically, some family members say, I want to be a foster parent. Then the social worker gives them the child. They adopt the child. Social worker made money. I mean, the county made money. Why? Because they adopted. They get more incentives, bonuses when the child is adopted.
Right. Well, they want to make sure they keep it under that Title IV funding. They got to keep it in that Title IV funding. Mm-hmm. That's where the big bucks come in. It's the difference between $1 and 100,000.
That's we're talking about like 93 billion a year.
Well, here's an equation that I like to do. So there's a child a minute in the United States that's taken into child protective custody. 1 child per minute. So I do the equation, right? 1 child times 60 minutes in an hour. So 60 times 24. Do these. Now do that math. $134,000 is the base amount for a child that is taken into custody. Ends up being like 30 billion, some ungodly amount of money. And what people need to realize is that money doesn't go down. No one gets a budget. So what that is that's essentially the budget for all 50 states for the next fiscal year. You're never going to see child adoption rates and everything go down. They're going to go up because now they are accustomed to this money. Because if you think for a minute that 134,000 base amount, that's just talking about when this thing gets going. That's not talking about the extra things that they've added to the child for the care and all this stuff. We're just talking about kid comes off the raw block, he's worth 134 to the state. That's not to mention whatever they get paid for it for adoption and however that stuff goes. We're just talking about the state care stuff that they put on you can actually get copies of this stuff. Each one of your states has a checkbook, it's called. If you look up, like mine, for instance, is Maine checkbook, and you can go and see what the state of Maine, and you'll look and say, what the hell are they doing with all this money? You'll see a surplus in the state, and they'll say, look, you didn't create jobs. You adopted more kids. You took more kids. You'll see that the amount of calls are the same.
Mm-hmm.
But all of a sudden, more kids, maybe a 2%. Let me guess, each one of your states are about like a 2% or 3% increase because they don't want to make it so noticeable that you say, whoa, what's going on? Because people don't believe you when you talk about this corruption. They don't want to believe because people don't want to believe that the innocence of children are at risk.
Right.
They also want to turn their heads to it because they don't want to be a part of it if it is true. Mm-hmm. You're much better off by saying, I don't know, and I don't think so, and I didn't know this shit, than you are if you're like, yeah, I've been telling you this for a while. Right. Like, you didn't listen. Because no one cares even if you were.
Right. And literally, the way the law is written, the way ASFA is written, not only does it use the words incentive and bonus when referring to the money that's paid for children, it is written into the law that counties, states have to take more children year over year or they risk losing their funding. I mean, what is it? Something like 86% of all CPS cases are closed without any wrongdoing, criminal acts, charges, nothing against the parents. Could you imagine having a job where you got it wrong 86% of the time?
I don't think that they've closed to 80. I think that number, because I remember the dude that came up with that, he talks about that. I don't think he meant that the cases were closed. I think that he was, because this is what I was going to get on my topic about, was in the state of Maine here where I am. All right. The ombudsman took on 84 cases because there's such scrutiny here. This has come out of the New England Cable News. There's such scrutiny I never even realized that Maine Child Care Protection Services, they call it DHS up here, they're fucking bent and broken and cruel people. This is the evil. I tell you what, Hell's Gate starts right the fuck here in Maine. I'm telling you right now, because they
There's
are
everywhere. Go there and stop. You guys think your state? Look at Dr. Fowler.
No, this is a fact. This is facts. This is
mind. I'm sorry, you guys. I could summarize the rest of this in a couple of few seconds. I was also at the same time that I had my granddaughter in my care. One of the most rewarding times of my life. Lovely baby, sleeping through the night, so happy, such joy. I was certified again as a foster parent by the same agency. So they put me through the whole onboarding, the whole federal clearance, all of my clearances. I already have all of my clearances because of my advocacy work with my 21-year-old who lives with me, who has autism spectrum disorder. So I'm his certified, the manager of his waiver system. So child advocacy is me 24 hours a day. So at the same time, DHS certified me to be a certified foster care parent. I was cleared. Everything was in place. Meanwhile, however, I wasn't able to get the baby for urgent care.
Because the baby, somebody's requesting that baby.
Well, finally, and because mother, quote, mother is insisting, mother who's already lost 3 children, is insisting to said social worker that I'm horrible. She's making childline complaints. I've done horrible things to the other children, whatever she can come up with, because in her mind, she can and she has manipulated foster parent in the situation to take the children away from me, to have the children placed into foster care so that she can further manipulate, so that she can get her kids back, so she can use them for benefits. That is her motive. And I am.
How do you know she said that? How do you know she said that, Dr. Fowler? How do you know? Did you hear her say that? Or are you going by what the social worker said?
No, my darling. First of all, 21 years I've been going through this with my daughter.
So she actually said that?
Of course. And most recently with the baby, we had something that they call a family. I'm so sorry. There's another word. It's called a family meeting, because the goals right now in the eyes of the court are reunification. The goals are for the baby to go back to the mother.
That's not true, Dr. Fowler. You know that they always say reunifications, but they never work towards the reunification.
They said reunification up to the day we went to our GPR hearing.
A bonding study. Where's the bonding study?
Yeah, it never happened. Never happened.
Before the unification.
This is what you say is so eminently and painfully true, but on the paper, in the eyes of the court, their goal is still reunification. And in the esteem of the social worker, that's
what I have to say about the court. Okay? Because honest to God, the court always says that, Dr. Fowler.
Yes.
But they never, ever make it an actual factual goal. Because actions speaks louder than their empty, demonic words. Okay? I can say anything on paper. I can say, Dr. Fowler, I am going to give you half of my lotto winning, millions of dollars, right? I can write it down. But guess what? I'm not doing it. But I promise I would, right? And you're waiting for it. Same thing.
They said the goal of reunification was that was the goal was the GPR hearing.
I couldn't agree with you more. This is just what the court is stating. And while the court is holding out the goal as reunification, they, in their esteem with the social worker, have to go through all of these steps with the mother and the parenting classes and all the rest. I'm finally through much. I contact the nurse for DHS and I say, listen, can you help me to get the kinship papers to get the baby to the doctor? I finally identify, through my advocacy, I was able to identify a pediatric practice here in my county that would accept the baby and see the baby, but they still needed the prior medical record. Well, there was no prior medical record because mom was on the run going between Philadelphia, New Jersey, and Delaware, hiding from the popo because she knew if she dropped another baby that they were going to come after her. So we don't have any medical records. Sorry.
That's cute. That was cute, man. Miss Medea. She just said Popo.
That's right. So then we get to finally, I found a pediatric practice, a university-based practice that said, yes, Dr. Fowler, we'll take the baby without anything, just on your word alone. Bring the baby in. I contact the social worker. I'm overjoyed. She obstructs me. You cannot go there. You are a problem. I'm taking that baby. 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 The threats. By now, I'm actually having heart palpitations. I'm afraid. She dispatched a social worker to my one of her workers to my home, and we were just sitting in the living room and instructed her to literally take the baby from me. I called the police, and the police said she has to go. I'm sorry, she has no jurisdiction here. And finally, I get to the medical appointment, and this is very key to me because my practice, I am a doctor of biomedical anthropology. I've never talked about what I do as a profession, but my job, my career over many years through Temple University was to provide instruction, training, curricula, and solutions for doctors, nurses, social workers, and therapists, and especially to provide instruction in the context of the biomedical interview. So when I'm at the interview, I feel like I'm really very much in command of what should occur here. The social workers on the phone, however, interfering and implying that my feeding of the baby is illicit because originally she couldn't digest the formula. You guys, this was during the formula crisis. You couldn't get the stupid formula, but the baby was thriving. I know how to nurture children back to good health through God's mercy. I've done it many times. And the baby was sleeping through the night. We were so joyful, but this social worker was injecting poisonous narrative about me in really what would be my home setting. But I've got these 23-year-old physicians who really think that they're cooperating with her.
I know.
And alleging that I am misfeeding my granddaughter who's thriving, and alleging that her so-called weight loss, based on some prior records, there weren't any records. She hadn't had a health exam since she was born, but alleging that she had lost weight and insinuating that somehow it was my caregiving over the past 3 weeks. Then October the 7th, when I took the baby for her laboratory work at a children's hospital in my county, by the way, I can share with you guys that when I go into Philadelphia, I pay for protection. I have a bodyguard that I pay to go with me. And he's a scary looking man. And not because I'm really afraid, but I just happen to know that if I take my bodyguard, there's just very few people who are going to approach me for anything.
I believe you. No, I actually believe you. I really believe you because, guys, don't take CPS lightly.
No, it's no joke.
When Nancy Schaefer, she's the senator for Georgia, she lost her seat. And on my first show ever I've done on my own, I mentioned her. She struck me. And I cried because that woman was so passionate. And she was determined to expose the system, and she did. And in fact, she exposed Bill Clinton. She exposed the Clintons. Once she started exposing the Clintons behind all the corruption, her life was threatened, right? And then they made it look like when she was assassinated in her home with her husband.
Murder-suicide.
And remember who signed ASFA? Who created ASFA?
Oh, say it. Auntie Barbara, say it. Go ahead. Tell everyone. Who signed
the Adoption and Safe Families Act of 1997 was pushed by Hillary and signed by Bill Clinton.
Yes.
And that's the one that uses
probably on their ride to Epstein Island. Probably.
You have to take more kids each year.
You have a long-term succession of people who have incarcerated children and families.
The White House is a pedophile right now, for God's sakes.
Sorry, and if you don't mind, just if I can just simply conclude, this social worker had been stalking me. On October the 7th, I didn't know myself that I was going to be at the Children's Hospital in my county. On October the 7th, I wasn't in Philadelphia. I was in Montgomery County, so I didn't have my bodyguard with me. On October the 7th, when I was in the laboratory and the lab technician kept saying, don't you want to feed her in here? And I'm like, well, I don't know, because got the applesauce and the banana combo and the almond milk. And I don't want you guys to see that, because are you going to do some false reportings? I'm like, no, I'll do it in the lobby, because my plan was to spend the entirety of the day with my granddaughter at the hospital, getting referrals, doing my own reportage of CPS, planning what I call her mapping. And in my experience, I've designed something that I call mapping. It's from birth to 5 years. And you're very familiar with it too, because your parents, and it puts the child on a course for the first 5 years with all of the evaluations, all of the assessments. You're getting them ready for early intervention if they need early intervention, and everything's kind of, they're on course. And that's what I was going to do that day, when suddenly here's the social worker's worker in the lobby. I'm alone. I'm already terrified, and I'm really experiencing what I feel is elder abuse because of the many other things that have occurred with the social worker and her vile, vindictive violence against me as the parent. And she orders me to produce the baby's diaper bag and show the food, and she orders the worker to take her from me. And that's the last time I ever saw my granddaughter. And since then, the first thing I did was reach out to the guardian ad litem and explain the history of this. And she listened to me, and she barred me from communication.
Yep.
The next thing, the social worker went to court and falsely testified that I was improperly feeding the baby.
Yes.
The medical report says improper feeding. How is that even humanly possible? And and it was alleged that I was obstructing the family visits, when in fact I obtained a protection from abuse order against my daughter, knowing that she would try to kidnap the baby or follow through on her threats to poison the baby during the course of the family visits while the workers were sitting there. That's not an idle threat. She has a history of doing this before. I produced 34 police investigative records that prove my point about her capacity for danger. So here we are now. That was October the 7th. Today is March, the 2nd. We have no reports of the baby. I don't know where she is. I don't know her medical condition. She's been denied any access from the family. We've gone to court over and over. I do at last have a good lawyer who's been very steady. However, and I have a petition for custody before the judge, who told me to file for custody. Well, guess what? The 2 hearings ago, he didn't come to court. The last hearing, he told I was sworn in with my family members that just joined us. And we were all told to leave the courtroom. The one positive thing is that the judge directed my lawyer to remain in the courtroom. And he was able to hear the testimony of the CPS worker, who testified as to my daughter's, of course, incapacity for reunification. And that's where we are now. Just still waiting for a custody hearing. When will it happen? Who knows?
I want you guys to, Dr. Fowler, and I'm going to call you guys the gang. Look at what Joel Shoemaker just wrote. Well, he wrote it a few minutes ago, obviously, but just look what he wrote. What does that tell you? Now, remember, I mentioned to you guys a long time ago on my shows, some of you might not remember, but doctors are forced to, right, diagnose incorrectly. Okay? Medical doctors are bullied by the Department of Child Services, whether it's DHS, CPS, DCFS, pieces of shit, demonic. Doesn't matter how you want to label them. That's
Well, you're violent and aggressive. You call them the wrong thing.
They are definitely part of the triad. When I compared what scant records there were for my granddaughter, I saw obvious discrepancies.
Yep.
And I wanted to sit down with the chief of staff at the Children's Hospital and say, let's address this. Do you realize that this is defamatory and untrue? And let's correct this record. Because this isn't even a pediatric assessment. Can we get to the pediatrics here? But I was never allowed to do that. And now the CPS worker testified in court against me. Remember, you can't go to these hearings. You can't defend yourself.
They have secret hearings. They have secret hearings, people. They have secret hearings that you're not allowed to go to, and neither is your attorney.
You're not allowed to intervene in this case. However, the social worker was able to get the court to issue a stay-away order for me to stay away from my own granddaughter's medical visits and from their agency, which I was glad about that because who wants to go there anyway?
Right.
But now I cannot even monitor my granddaughter's medical visits.
Wow.
Where did the right to a jury go away in the family court system?
Hey guys, wait, hold that thought there and ask after Ann Barb. She's been trying to say something.
Well, something struck me about Dr. Fowler said. They are on paper going for reunification, but who are they going for reunification with?
Yeah.
The one who will lose. Your daughter's not going to win reunification.
Nope.
Or you, the one who would win it. So
exactly,
it's already a setup, and I mean, like in my case, I can prove adoption started before she was even made a state. They are saying, "Oh, well, mother has first biological rights over grandma," which, yes, technically, legally, that would make sense. So they're using that to say, "Well, we're going to reunite baby with mom instead of baby with the woman who's been taking care of her," because they know you'd win. They know you go into court and all your proof you have, your amazing work history and knowledge of the whole system and everything, you're going to win. Your daughter's not going to win. So they focus on reunifying her with who they know. And they will stretch and I know this because I was even told this by lawyers and I've witnessed it myself. They will stretch the process of reunifying with mom out as long as they can. And then they'll come back and say, "Oh, well, the baby's bonded with the foster parents. So we're going to, excuse me, I have a genetic bond. You can't break that." But they will purposely drag it out and drag it out and drag it out. TPR your daughter and adopt your granddaughter out without you having a say in it. That's what they're doing.
Yep.
There's no reason for you to not be in that court. You know that baby. You've taken care of that baby. You have loved that baby. You are that baby's mother.
Oh, I love
Dr. grandmother of that. So
she's such a beautiful grandmother too, Auntie Barbara.
Yeah, oh, trust me, we talked for 7 hours and 10 minutes last night. By the grace of God, it was an amazing thing. But they're purposely, see, they use the law when it benefits them. So yes, like I said, legally, she's mom, your grandmother. That there's a hierarchy there. So they're using that. Now, if they thought you were the problem and she was the better one, who do you think they would be trying to reunite the baby with? They only use the laws to help themselves.
Exactly. Even
if it means killing a child, because they're going to protect themselves. I used to work for a nun who called it CYA, cover your ass. That should be what CPS's motto is, because they don't care. They're not in the service of protecting children. Mm-hmm. They're in the service of protecting their own backsides. Mm-hmm. So they have specifically chosen, on paper, they're doing everything the way it looks it's supposed to be legally. Now, there's also caveats in that law that says, no, you should reunite with family. And so, but they are cherry picking who to reunite that child with so that the case will fail. They will be TPR'd and the baby can be adopted. That beautiful little baby girl can be adopted.
And you know, I think I told you guys this before. There's foster homes. There's two different foster homes: an adoptive home and a placement home.
Mhm.
The placement home is usually around 3 months, 6 months, whatever, right? But an adoptive homes, they want to adopt. In order for them to adopt in a cheap way, they go through CPS. Because if they go to an outside agency, right?
Yes.
For orphanage agency, for example,
Mhm.
they have to have 80,000 or more in their account. Like, I'm not joking you, like, and then they have to pay
Yes.
like 50 something thousand to adopt that baby from that orphanage. Now,
And
yeah, right, Auntie Barb?
when you go to an adoption agency and say, "Hey, I want to adopt a child," you know what they tell you to do? Go become a foster parent, and they'll pay for your adoption. I've known people who are in the process of trying to adopt children now, and they were told by the adoption agencies, "Go become a foster parent, then the state will pay for your adoption."
Did you guys hear that?
Your child.
I almost choked on my saliva hearing you say that. Darren, did you hear what she just said?
I did.
My God.
I certainly heard what she just said, and
wow.
She said it again. Say it again to reemphasize that.
I'm pissed. Now I've been pissed.
Say it again to reemphasize that.
Huh?
I've been very worried about that. And my
again.
lawyer wants $10,000 for me to file for adoption.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't mind making that kind of an obligation. However, I'm still hoping and praying, since this judge, who is quite unpredictable, instructed me to keep coming to court, that I am resource. He knows what I want, and file for custody. We have the custody. By the way, I already had full physical and legal custody through the courts of my granddaughter that was an attachment of my PFA. They kidnapped her from me while that was pending. They just completely ignored my custodial rights that were already pending.
Dr. Fowler, the reason you got the adoption through family court, correct?
This was custody that I'm seeking through family court, but the custody petition is still being heard by the same dependency judge. It won't be heard by an independent, even an independent person.
Custody in family court, the state is higher courts, so they can go in and take your custody from you anytime they deem fit. Family courts are lower courts.
Gotcha.
Remember that. And if you have a high conflict case in family court, when you're going through custody, child custody, and say your divorce is high conflict, and guess what? CPS gets involved, and then CPS says, you know what? We don't like the parents. We're just going to take custody from them now.
That's it.
That's all you have to say. We don't like you. We don't like you. We just don't like you.
That's it. 100% right, Georgia. 100% right.
So disgusting is, like Dr. Fowler said, she would have to pay all this money to adopt her flesh and blood.
Yeah.
Yet the foster parents that have that baby, how much are they going to have to pay to adopt that child?
Nothing.
They're getting paid.
And that is, to me, that is so disgusting.
They're getting paid to keep your child from you.
It is so disgusting. Also, and just to let you all know that I also filed a contempt of custody in my county to hold DHS in Philadelphia County in contempt. And I kind of couldn't have gotten it through. I hired another lawyer for that. She took the money. She didn't even get a court date.
What?
She took 4 weeks before she even really filed the petition. Then 4 weeks after that, before she even attempted, she never got a court date. I sashayed in and filled out the petition myself and got a court date, but I was denied the court date in the final analysis.
Shit.
But at least I did that myself to try to bring in, if there were different mechanics and if my name wasn't so sullied, I think it might have maybe happened because I was arguing over jurisdictions, but because it was me, as you well understand, I'm really the most. I'm more.
How did jurisdiction argument work? How did you do with that in the courts? Because you can challenge jurisdiction at any given point in time. What jurisdiction were you talking, like subject matter jurisdiction? Because in reality, they don't even have jurisdiction. CPS, when they do their investigations, there's no jurisdiction to begin with. As you know, they try to play the contractual thing, like, oh, you were married. Well, Mary and I are not physically married. We're married because we've been together by common law, but we don't have a contract with the state saying that we seek help with the state if we dissipate our contract. That's how they get jurisdiction with your child, is because you're married. Then you say, when you're that marriage certificate, and when you sign those papers for the state, not the one in front of God, but the one for the state, says, look, if we break our marriage, we break our contract, we need someone to come in here and liquidate our assets for us, because we're not going to be able to do it together in a peaceful manner. That's how the CPS, that's how they gain jurisdiction with your child, because now your child has become part of your property and you have requested the state's assistance if that property gets liquidated, right? Because that's the way that the state's looking at these things. And then that brings it into a whole nother argument too about, wait a minute, now your kid is considered property. Well, it says in the Constitution that you can't take a man's property, or, you know, anybody's property, you know, and use it for, you cannot use it for, to make wages, to gain access for it. That's how we abolish slavery, correct? Like, you can't take a person. So the CPS people are profiting from our children. So how are they not under the guidelines of slavery? How are they not breaking these constitutional amendments saying that, you know, like, you don't have a right to a person to profit from? And they show that they profit from this.
But again, remember, do you guys remember when Senator Nancy Schaefer, she said, they create rules to violate your Constitution rights. The rules, every entity in freaking America have their own rules. Remember that. That's how
they rules, but not laws. Laws are being broken by these people and no one cares.
Exactly.
I know.
Rules are not supposed to trump laws. Rules are supposed to dictate how the laws might be carried out.
Right.
That's why they can vary from county to county, state
policy, all that. Right.
But when you look at ASFA, that's a federal law.
I know.
That should be the same from here to Pennsylvania.
I know.
You know, it should be the same. But in every county, I can understand maybe calling something a little different or having a little...
The states are in on it, guys.
Right, but you cannot, a rule cannot replace a law. But in CPS's mind, they have a rule, they can do it. Forget the law.
My buddy on here, he just says, he's absolutely right. Start filing with the professional registration boards against the social workers, the nurses, the doctors, things like that. Let these boards know that we are aware of what's going on here. That's what we've got to do. We got to make noise, because everybody has accepted this abuse from these people for so long. Think about it. I say this all the time, and this was the number one thing that they used against me in my TPR, is I said, in nature, if you try to go out and remove a bear cub from their nest, or their, not a nest, bears, but their den or whatever, and you remove, those animals will drop dead trying to make sure their young are safe, and us as American people in the world don't do that. Why are we not defending our children the same way the fucking birds and the bees and all these other things are doing it? Because we're not allowed to, because we've accepted it. Overrun these bastards. These are our kids. Stop taking them.
Yep, that's right. I agree with you 100%, and so does Dr. Fowler and Aunt Barb and everybody else watching this program. I mean, you guys, we need to stand strong. And Barb, I think I told you this, and Dr. Fowler and Darren, I told you guys what my passion is. My passion, and that I will never stop making sure it's accomplished, is to bring everybody all over the United States to rally, to protest, to fight, not just people in the system, not just parents in the system. We need parents who are not in the system. We need grandparents. We need aunts and uncles. We need workers. Oh, Jesus, I just said
there's way more of us that have been affected by the removal of their children than there are
who have seen the light.
Police officers, we need Congress, we need everybody in on it who are against corruption. You guys don't understand that we have to address this. We have to be heard. I wish to God I can be in all the states at one time. I will be doing it myself, but I can't go to every state. Darren is in Maine. And Barbara, where are you?
Northern California.
Oh,
Yeah.
So we're going to start at both sides of the United States, and we'll all meet together. We'll just crush right in through the middle. That's what we'll do. You get the
Well,
West
and
Coast,
here's
I
the
get the
thing.
East Coast, and we'll work our way together.
You know, there's all those groups out there that are saying, oh, you know, sue the government because families coming across the border are being separated. What about the families here in this country that are being separated?
See, look, I get
You
so,
can sue the
I
federal
get so,
government because a family not from this country is divided. But you
Exactly.
can't sue CPS because they divided your family.
Mhm,
There
mhm.
are, I mean, we were discussing this last night.
Yes, we were.
Animals in this country have more rights than
Yeah.
our children.
Yep,
This sucks.
yep. And you know what's so sad? You know
That
what's
brings
so sad,
me.
Barb? Go ahead.
Pardon me. That brings me to solution steps. I'm always thinking about solutions. In my case, I've been the reluctant prophet because I feel that God has been calling me to come out in public about this, and I just don't want to do it, and I just don't want to do it. And my darlings, after 21 years of doing nothing but child and family advocacy, could I have a week? I mean, to just really, or just imagine what it would be like to be 65 and imagine what retirement would look like, even if I can't do it.
Yeah.
This is it. There's enough talk. It's time for action. No more talking.
Yes.
People have talked. Listen, we're dealing with people that have spoke for years. Grandmothers now that still don't have their fucking kids back are still trying to lead this movement. Enough. It's time for fresh, new. We've talked long enough. It's time to act. Enough. Do not let these people overrun us anymore.
Amen. Amen. But wait, guys. I need you guys to understand, though, that sometimes the corruption is coming from family members. Okay? Mm-hmm. I need you guys to be aware of this. If a grandmother is not approving, example, a paternal grandmother doesn't approve of her son's choice of marriage, right? Mm-hmm. What do? They destroy it by making a false report against the mother, the wife of the son.
Mm-hmm. And if these people did their jobs and they were educated like they were supposed to be, they would understand that those were false claims and throw those bastards out and leave people alone.
Yes, but they don't do. They don't do the proper investigation, though. That you guys need to understand. They don't do the proper investigations.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. No investigating at all.
In the interest of action steps, it occurred to me that historically, we had the ASPCA movement, American Association for Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. After that, we had child protection. Now, if any of these homes that you mentioned, the horrible places where children have been tortured and tormented, if there was a dog that was undergoing those same torments, and anyone were to call the animal rights, they would have been in there almost to the level of alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. So, do we have something to learn or to borrow from that movement? What is the model for the ASPCA? What is the model for your dog, Scotty, having more civil rights than my baby granddaughter? She has no civil rights, but your dog has civil rights. Your dog has civil protections. Your dog has advocacy. And your dog has people that have the powers to take away other people's money and funding if they don't do the right thing.
Right.
So is there a method to enlist the aid of animal rights for this movement to help to activate the movement? Because
just doing action.
These are just questions.
Right. No, but I think that's it, because we've done this systematically. We've done this through the courts. We've done all of this. No one wants to touch it because they're all making fucking money from it. The judges out there in California are all in bed with these adoption agencies, making foster homes, all this type of stuff. You know, it's worldwide. We got people everywhere. Listen, I got sites and friends and everything. I can't even, what I'm looking at here is you guys, and my monitors are blowing up with people like Darren. Tell these people the truth about what's going on, because this is ridiculous.
That's why they keep
This is everywhere, 50 states. What if we just overran them all? What if we just, in 50 states, a bunch of us came together and we got our fucking kids at the same time?
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do?
Have you guys not seen the big rally, for what's her name? That singer, her father was controlling her assets.
Britney Spears.
Did you guys not see the rally for her?
Mhm.
That's why I was pissed off. I was so mad. I was so mad. I'm like, well, damn. I don't see anyone doing that for children being sex trafficked and stolen from American families. Are you kidding me right now? But you're voting for a rich, spoiled rat? Are you kidding me right now?
Well, one of the questions in my mind is, what is the model that they use to get the support, the attention, and the money?
Social media.
Meaning whom?
They put out their issues over, and they came together. They picked a date. Like, I think if we could pick a date for every single state, say, go to your Capitol building on October 1st, whatever the date is. Everybody be there. Signs. Have your little, 2-minute speech ready. So if a media personality wants to talk to you, you've got your concise.
Here's what we're kind of working on. And I talked to Miss G about this last night, and she said she was on board. Here's what we're talking about. And if this could be in a month, it would be wonderful. But if we took a mass of us that had all the legal doctrine in hand, if you had the papers to take your kid back, an adoption, rescinding signatures, rule motion 60B, because we all know they lied, that's filled out in the format to show us that all these people lie. All of these things, trespass, adoption, paperwork that says that they're rescinding in their adoption, give you your kid back. But you had enough of us in each state at the same time, went to the houses where our kids were, and we took our kids back, provided the legal doctrine, and amassed again together. If you had 1,000 parents, 1,000 people that legally could get their kids back when we had all the paperwork, fuck the courts. The courts are holding us in there a long, long time. The judges are all in bed with all of this. It's never going to be fair. This is never going to be fair. When they got your number, they got your kid. My daughter is a beautiful, dark-haired, blue-eyed kid that probably yielded a fuck ton of money for them. That's no way to think of my kid. My kid is my daughter, belongs here with her mom. Enough's enough. What I had to just wait 5 months for the appeals to come back and just say, yeah, hey, Darren, really? 5 months I lost in my kid's life. You can't get that back, ever. I did nothing wrong. I've done nothing wrong, and there's so many other people out here, and it's not just I didn't do anything. My family goes from me, my mom, my brothers, Mary's family herself. Look at the people that it's destroying. It's a massive amount. And because we all tuck our shit between our legs and can't fucking stand up for ourselves because we're scared of the guy that we hire. The government works for us. We are the people. Those badges, the police cars, all that shit, it's ours.
Yep.
We tell them what the fuck to do, not the other way. The people that are sitting in those offices making the rules, saying that they can take our fucking kids, we hire. Those are our employees. Fire the fuckers.
Yep. And you know what's so sad? Most of them we actually vote for.
We vote. If we didn't, they do it themselves anyway.
That's why I thought about us all showing up at our state.
Yes.
Wait, you guys. Let me finish this part. You guys, when you vote for judges, you have to be mindful of who in the hell you're voting for. This judge is married to this firefighter or whoever the fuck they're married to. Well, guess what? They stole kids from that firefighter's ex-wife.
You're damn right.
Okay, so you guys have to understand, it's the system works together. They give the abuser the children because he has a badge.
Right, and the other person's going to go right into the criminal system.
Yeah, exactly. And the abuser marries a judge, example, or a district attorney 4 months after the divorce with his wife. So, just think about it. Think about this for a few seconds. Think about it. A psychiatric report evaluates 2 parents. One is a covert narcissist. The other parent, the mother, she's emotionally distraught because of what is happening from this covert narcissist that she had no idea about. Think about that for a minute. Then the narcissist sleeps with a district attorney who became a judge. Then soon after, the children are taken from the good mom, and CPS makes the mom look like she's the perpetrator when the actual perpetrator is looking like the innocent one.
Yep.
But what I've noticed CPS does is CPS does not if the report favors the mom, I kid you not, if the report favors the mom, right? The psychiatric report favors the mom, the evaluation, they will not, they will do everything in their power for it not to be submitted into court as evidence to return the children to the mother immediately. Why would a psychiatrist from CPS courts say return the children to the mother immediately and investigate the father, who's the firefighter? Think about that for a second. Just think about this shit for a second. Why? Why? Because of his connection. You guys think the parent that actually keeps a child doesn't have connection with the court system? Oh, they do.
Oh yeah.
They do. They don't need an
My
attorney.
caseworker.
They do it. They keep the child with them. If they have connection with the social worker, they have connection with the district attorney, they have connection with the police department.
You
they
lose.
fucking get their way. By
You can drink
innocent
from their
will lose
feet. They
because
don't
you don't
care.
have money. Huh?
Yep.
Ridiculous.
This is
This is our government. This is
Yep.
exactly why I'm telling you guys right now. I get heated and passionate, just like Karen, just like Auntie Barb, and Dr. Fowler.
But you know what? You know what? They take this now, and we're out of control. Hey, we're out of control. We're out of control. We need to go get the power and control wheel and reset that, because now we're threatening. You know what? You're an abusive person. You're abusive. No, I am freaking pissed off. My kid has been stolen. You know, I'm a kidnapped parent. Look at what that does to a person. Look up all of these studies on what happens when your kid's kidnapped. Yeah, you're damn right I'm pissed. You took mine. I did nothing. You might as well. Is it just as good to go in the mall and your kid snatched from you? It's the same damn thing.
Same damn thing. Yeah, it's the same thing. And the thing is, none of you guys did anything. None of you guys did anything to deserve this. None. But the ones who are innocent are the ones who are fighting harder.
Right.
The fucking perpetrators, right? The liars, the deceivers are the ones that don't have to fight as hard. I have seen one of our clients in CPS court with her husband, who's a firefighter, with the new supply, the district attorney, right? Hugging social workers, children attorneys in the hallway of CPS court in downtown LA. I mean, Monterey Park, LA. So when I tell you guys the corruption is right in front of your eyes, it is.
Oh, yeah. Like the social worker being the niece of the foster mother that, you know, the state said you need to shut her down, but it hasn't happened yet. Oh, yeah. They're all connected.
So, I know a person.
That's what
I know a person that their caseworker, their father was the former OCFS Attorney General. The caseworker got out of college, got a job, and this family got this caseworker, and they did zero, zip, zilch. Nothing. I can tell you that for 100% fact. And they were putting TPR on this child within 5 months. 5 months of taking this child from a home. Wrapped up, done deal. Because this caseworker had family up top watching every move. This family even got other police organizations came in and falsified charges against people. Like, this is real, people. This is no joke. That what you're talking about, doctor, gang stalking. Gang stalking is a real thing. They send people, they make people make you think you're crazy, that you're looking out for stuff and they're really not. You're trying to get to appointments, all of a sudden your tires popped, your car's broken. All of these things, they're real things. And what do? They make you think you're crazy. Oh, you're crazy. Every Wednesday, another friend of mine was going to their visits with their kid, but every Wednesday something happened to their car. Tires blown up, the exhaust fell off, all of these things. Weird. And guess what? It inhibited them to get to their meetings. So they lost their kid because they said that they weren't on time, or they weren't this or that. These are things that they do. They have way too much power. We have to take it
back. Darren, I need to emphasize on what you just said. He's so accurate. That client I was telling you guys about with the firefighter, the day she had to go to court, the first hearing, all of a sudden in the driveway where she pulls her car out of the garage, nails, big nails, big, huge nails everywhere. Everywhere. She drove
no business
out,
being there, right?
All tires are flat. 4 tires. When I say massive amount of nails, she literally has pictures of the nails. She didn't notice because the garage, then there's a driveway, and then
Mm-hmm.
she was pulling out backwards.
Mm-hmm.
She can't see the nails.
Mhm.
So back in the day, there was no Uber, stuff like that.
Right.
So she was forced to call a taxi, but she was late.
Because this was
Late
just
for a
before
long period
court.
of time. She was a few minutes late, rather.
Mm-hmm.
But the point I'm trying to make, when her ex-husband saw her, and his new supply saw her, and the kid's attorney saw her there, they couldn't believe that she found a way.
Mm-hmm.
They were shocked.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what else is sad? Is when you are a mother dealing with an ex whose mother is an attorney and his aunt is a supervisor for the Department of Child Services. That's even sadder. And then everyone you talk to, other attorneys to get help, they say, we don't do CPS cases. No, it's a conflict of interest. Why is it a conflict of interest? Because the wife is a judge, because the mother is an attorney, or the aunt is a supervisor for the DHS. I mean, come on. And then the mother looks like the mother is crazy. They send people to follow the mom, videotape the mom, follow her to the market while she's shopping, or follow her to her doctor's appointment, or follow her to whatever. They follow you everywhere and pretend they're shopping or whatever. And they actually videotape you and harass you. And all of a sudden, all these people are in front of your home, parked in the street of your home, and on their damn phone, and all of a sudden your home is targeted. Once CPS took over, oh, they follow you. Dr. Fowler felt it. They follow you.
Mhm.
They harass you. This is not made up stories. Darren, me, Auntie Barb, and many of you out there, and Dr. Fowler, we're not sharing stories that's not true.
Right.
But
I can prove
attorneys
everything
have
you
the
say.
habit of saying, well, I don't know if that's true or not.
No.
Because they're not targeted. They're not.
No.
But if an attorney has a CPS case,
Mm-hmm.
he or she will
If you're
know that we were saying the truth all along. That's the point I'm trying to make.
I went,
Right.
in my case, as you all have probably also done, and my heart goes out to everyone here on this panel and everyone within hearing range of this panel and the agonies. I pray for us all. But in my case, I went all over the place, documented, to the police, to the state police, back to the police, to the detectives, to try to get some kind of a reportage against this. In our case, it isn't CPS or what you would call CPS. It isn't DHS that's actually interacting now after the initial custody. It's as they subcontract with another agency. They're called a community umbrella agency. And they're the ones who exert, they're the lowest, technically, if you were to look at an organizational chart, they're near the bottom. But as you know, whatever they feed goes all the way up through the top. It's the feeder system. And they're the ones that have superordinate amounts of power. So my question is, in our movement, in this movement, I'm committed. I'm going to be here. I'm never going to stop going to court for my granddaughter
Right.
or doing whatever I can share with you and anyone in the wide world that I was looking forward to doing things and investing in things. And
And
all
I really appreciate that. And Aunt Barb, I know she's a I just love that lady. She just tell it how it is,
Well, see, and I like Dr. Fowler. I have a list of everybody I have spoken to. That's why I thought about the protest should be outside the Capitol building, because I can have my little book there. And like for us, we are starting to be heard because the Sacramento Bee is going to be doing a series on CPS. But I can take my little book, and when somebody asks, well, who have you reached out to? Well, let me show you who's ignored me. Let me show you who has allowed crimes against children to continue. Let me give you their names so that you can go talk to them and
Most of
put
them are
pressure
senators.
on the politicians. I mean, there's always media at the Capitol buildings, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like almost free publicity by doing it there. And if we could do that in all 50 states on the same day at the same time, that would send a message. Whether you had 200 people there or 2 people there, it's like talking to Dr. Fowler last night. You know, you feel so isolated in these cases, and you feel like you're crazy because it's so much for anybody to believe. They look at you like you're crazy. But here we are. I'm on the West Coast, she's on the East Coast, and we have virtually the exact same story. So everybody, like the FBI, wants to see a pattern of behavior. There it is, coast to coast, same stories. Oh, the family's got, if Munchausen's was as popular as CPS said it was, it would be more of an epidemic than COVID. Let's face it. They tell you you're crazy, so nobody believes you. That is a universal thing. They say they target poor families who can't afford lawyers. That's a universal thing. There are certain things, like we had discussed last night. There's all the other courts. You have your constitutional rights to due process, except CPS court. CPS court, you can't even go in and hear what they're saying against you, yet they can use those allegations to keep the children away from you. There's no transparency in court. The funding needs to be seen from where it comes from, which is the federal government. This is not a county or state issue. This is a federal, national issue. And the people higher up need to start paying attention, because we're getting louder and elections coming up. And I don't intend to get more quiet the closer it gets to election.
That's damn right.
And I am keeping a paper trail. Everybody I talk to, I try to do it through email or text.
Email only.
If I can't find a lawyer to help me, according to our county's DA investigator, I have an excellent case against this county. Great. Can you pay for a lawyer for me? But what I am doing, you can bet there are a ton of lawyers out there that will take former foster children's cases for contingency or pro bono basis. But
no,
so it's not helping me. Oh, well, up here there are. That's pretty much all I found where I live. If you're a former foster child, we'll help you. But if you're a family member, it's going to cost you so much money. And so if nothing else, I'm building a case for her. I am doing everything I can, because when I talk to people and they say, well, have you talked to this person? Like when I talked to DSS, the California Department of Social Services, they say, well, your Board of Supervisors has jurisdiction over CPS. Well, CPS told the Board of Supervisors they don't. I said, you need to look that up. Look on your own website. The director of the county HHS reports to you every 2 weeks. Guess who CPS falls under HHS? If she's not reporting to you, then yeah, you don't have jurisdiction. But guess what? She has to come in and report to you. If CPS office wants new furniture, guess who has to authorize it? That means you have jurisdiction over it. Just because you want to ignore what's going on doesn't make it not true. And so I have quite the lengthy paper trail showing everybody I've talked to. And so,
but Auntie Barbara, I understand what you're saying, but when you're fighting state and county, right? An attorney, that is, the county provides, depending on the state provides free pro bono attorneys to those families. Now we know they're useless. We know that,
right? Because
they get paid by the state. They're free for you guys, but they still get paid by the state. They're not really free. But let me finish.
These are private attorneys that I've talked to.
Okay, good. Now, the private attorneys, I know for a fact, when I say I called for the last few years, over about 200, 400, maybe 400 now, attorneys all over the state to find help for people. I'm not joking. I'm talking about, I send them links to my show. I tell their secretary to call me. Please, please, please. I'm trying to get people help, blah, blah, blah. I did this for 2 years. And did you know that they told me they already have a free attorney and that they don't get paid by the state and they offer services? You guys have to understand, these attorneys, they have to work for a living. So when you say that they do things pro bono, no, Barbara, it's not true.
Right. You have to be very careful who you're talking to.
Do that. That's not fair, because no one is willing to work for free. So let's
Right,
not.
but they still are public pretenders. They still work for CPS. They all go to this Christmas dinner with them and all that. These public pretenders aren't there for you. They are not. They are just there to hold your hand, walk you right down the aisle, get your kid TPR'd, and set off they go. Because you know what? Honestly, they make it so that the state has more of a legal hand in it. So when they get to the appeals, you don't have much to argue. Because these people that have already guided you there have made sure that the D's are crossed, the dots are this and that and this. So then the only thing you can try in an appeal is to get them for what's the word for the, like when the attorneys aren't they didn't represent you properly.
Counsel.
Yeah, ineffective counsel.
I like
But you know what?
Joe guy.
It's just insane how all of this works. They're all tied together. Trust no one. Copy down everything. Make sure everything you get is in writing. Record everything that you can. What you can, record everything.
Wait about the recording part. Remember, there was an attorney that was on my show with Attorney Davis that used to work for us. She said on the show that if you have a home and you have a sign outside the home, you can buy that sign anywhere that says this house is 24-hour surveillance, protected, camera protected, whatever the form, the sign says, and the social worker enters your home by law, she consented to that.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that.
Yeah.
If you have
I have T-shirts that say that.
For that sign, buy it.
I have them.
No, don't make the sign yourself. Buy the damn sign. Okay.
Right.
Now, if the social worker tells you the cameras in your home has to be shut down if they notice, by law they can't tell you that because they're in your home. Mm-hmm. They're in your home. Okay, so that's what gets me. It gets me how they just, they just.
Sure. The one that I'm dealing with has told me, "Oh, you can't tape me." But I've taped her. Mm-hmm. I have the kidnapping on tape. I have the presence of mind.
Everybody record.
Well, I was told by an FBI agent that yes, like California is a 2-party consent. You have to have. However, that just means it can't necessarily be used in court. There are exceptions,
but you can still record it.
There's a lot of evidence that law enforcement uses outside of court and that lawyers use outside of court. Right. So yeah, you might not be able to use it in court, but that doesn't mean you can't use it. And you have the right, if you're in a public place, you have the right to record.
You're damn right.
It's your phone. It's your property. So now, well, Barbara, is it okay to continue? I was thinking of, in terms of action steps to get the relief that we all need. And we were thinking of 3 areas to target, I suppose, as the campaign goes further. Barbara already mentioned getting this system. The only way to really bring it down is to defund it. So getting at their finances otherwise, and to create disincentives, however that happens to work. Otherwise, as you said, the plan is to keep harvesting more children to keep the money flowing. So the only effective measure, just like I'll use an analogy, but you all, of course, you get this very keenly. There was a doctor here who distinguished himself in the treatment of fibroid tumors. Unlike other doctors who used to go in and surgically remove the tumors, he developed a methodology of going in and cutting off the feeder veins for the tumors. Mm-hmm. And then the tumors starved and they died off and they passed through the body naturally and they don't return. So cutting off this child trafficking system, which is worse than the transatlantic enslavement experience, because at least then you knew a slave was a slave and you knew who the enemy was. They're worse than the cartels because at the very least the cartels are anonymous. So if the cartels come through your town and round up the children and steal them, they don't know you. There's no intimacy. Like each one of us has a story of intimacy of our children being held in captivity. That's way worse. It's much more injurious and poisonous. It leaves you with much more self-doubt and agony. So we've got the finances. We've got the issue of oversight. There is no, who do you call? I told you I went to the state police. I went to the local police. I went to Childline. I went everywhere that I could, and there is nowhere that I can identify to take my grievance right now to get my granddaughter back. So why do we have this system set up to where there is no oversight and really no one to turn to? And how is it that you have all of these murderers and mass murderers, not to bring in a particular case, but I've seen these murderers stand up and defend themselves in court. They get all kinds of concessions. They get representation. They have access to the public. They have due process. But where are our children right now? They have no access to due process. And what was the third? We have the financing, we have the oversight.
Court transparency or CPS transparency.
That's right. Where right now, especially in Pennsylvania, this dependency matter is closed. Mm-hmm. No one can be in dependency court, not me, unless I was granted my motion to intervene. I'm not considered a party. I'm still considered persona non grata in the eyes of the court. So I'm not permitted to observe or hear any of the proceedings. I'm denied access to the docket. I'm denied access to the case notes. Just all kinds of things are alleged about me, and I have no voice and no presence in the courtroom. That has to be eradicated.
Exactly.
What happened? So that's my question. What happened to juries? Why are juries in the whole system of law? Why are juries not allowed? Because of that private issue?
I got you, because juries would be a jury, 12 people who listened to the four of us this evening would undoubtedly way more in the direction of our testimony without any other material evidence. They can see they can hear our stories. It would be very compelling. But the mere fact that
our passion is passion, whereas to CPS we're crazy because we care about our kids.
Right.
You know?
And in no other venue in America that I know of are you deprived of the right to face your accusers. Each one of us has been accused, but we have no right to face our accusers. We have no defense, and everything alleged is assumed to be true. We are
guilty until proven innocent.
That's right. That's right.
I don't know. I think Vincent says something about a jury trial. There's a reason why they can't have a jury trial, but some states do have them, but not all the states. Like I said, the states are the ones making the rules. Okay, not all states have jury trial.
Keep fighting, Badger Web.
Yeah, but I just want to make a comment real quick regarding Miss Webb. She said, "I have a DCFS case, a covert narcissist for a husband. These people have zero regards for the truth. I am exhausted. I've been fighting DCFS for years. I assume, Miss Webb, that your case is in LA County because you called it DCFS. I'm not sure, but please let me know in a comment. They're taking both my kids from me. I am out of energy." She is out of energy, like every other parent out there. Also, I want to emphasize what Joel said. Joel Shoemaker, I want you to know, in the earlier comment you made about your case, please, you have, based on what I've been reading so far, from what you're writing, you look like you have a great civil case. And I know your case is out of state. I know in my heart that if Mr. Davis, if you were in California, he would definitely take that case for you. Okay. But because you're out of state, he can't fund, traveling back and forth unless the client or the parent wants to pay him for that. Okay. To be in that state to help you with your civil case. Civil cases like this can be easily won if you have all your information together. We're talking about evidence, dates, time, your last minute orders, everything that is relevant is very important for you to have. But it looks like you do have a great civil case. And but having a civil case doesn't mean that you're going to get your kids back. So a lot of people think, they tell me and they tell Davis, and Davis had to explain that to me. Just because you won a lawsuit, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have your kids back.
Right. O.J. Simpson won the league. He was not guilty, but then the family won the civil case against him, and it's the same deal.
Right.
Two different courts, two completely different situations.
Yeah, the civil lawsuit recognizes that your civil rights have been violated. but there's nothing in it to compel DHS to return your children.
Right.
It is, you might win on that ground. I don't know how. I've looked into the 1983 civil rights action on my side, and okay, in the pie in the sky world, you might get monetary compensation, but other than that, it's a hollow.
And what good is compensation when you don't have the thing that you need anyway? My child, like, what good is it? Money is no good without my child. I don't care. I could have a gajillion dollars. And the only thing I would spend that gajillion dollars would be fighting for these people to get their thing back. But I still wouldn't be happy because the money means nothing without my baby.
I know. But you can get that money and hire the best of the best to get that baby out of adoption.
Well, and think about it this way. If a million families across the state are all of a sudden suing CPS and they're losing that money, it could cause them to maybe rethink.
Sure.
Maybe, you know, if these parents have the evidence against us, maybe we should just give their kids back to them so they can't sue us. But they don't care because it's a power trip.
The money's coming. Stop. Wait. The money's coming from the federal government.
Yes, it is.
We
So
are paying them the money.
Which is where the qualified immunity is an issue.
Madam
social worker directly, that would make the social worker, maybe I should follow the law. But since it's very difficult to sue a social worker directly, they can't get away with it all.
They are required to hold insurance. They're required to hold insurance on themselves as a performance insurance bond. Like if you're a worker in a place, we need to realize, start attacking those bonds. You take that insurance away, you stop the insurance companies from insuring these public officials because they all have a bond that they have to carry with them for protection. That's how you get around this whole immunity thing, because that's one of the ways of the snake's heads, you know, because then you can get into the stocks and bonds thing. We'll take that for another show. And that's a whole nother topic of crime and stuff. But a way to do that is going after their insurance. You know, like they break these insurance companies from funding these social workers. Let them pull that back, because if they can't get insured, they can't work. So that's a way.
Wait. What insurance company is funding the social workers?
So social workers, any government person that works for the government is covered by themselves by an insurance bond. You know, like like I work for this company. So all of these agencies have insurance bonds per person that covers them. That way it's not doesn't destruct the whole company. It's this one worker. So what you do is you attack that social worker and go after their, no, I'm not going after the social worker. I'm going after her insurance that the government themselves has put on and collected from. And that's what you collect from. So you take it. So these insurance companies stop insuring them and their job performance bond. That's what it's called.
Insurance company get incentives for insuring people. What are you talking about, dude?
Well, the way it works, like say you sued
Barbara knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Right. Say you sued your school district. Okay. If you win that, who's paying it? The school district? No, their insurance company. The insurance company then is going to tell the school district, your rates are going up and you need to knock this stuff off or we're going to drop you. And if they don't have insurance, they can't operate.
Oh.
So that it's the same with any government agency. Let's face it, if I sued my county's not paying out, their insurance company is. Then their insurance company is going to get mad and say, your rates are going up and you need to knock this stuff off. And they will, after so many times, that's what I'm meaning about, like, if everybody kind of did it at the same time, it'd overload the system, because these insurance companies are the ones paying out. They legally have to pay it, and they can raise the rates, and they can drop the county, CPS, school district, whatever government agency it is, for failure to abide by their contract.
That sounds a little bit like a lien system, but I have a question for Madam Truen.
Yes.
In your experience, or in your fund of wisdom, which is vast, do you see or have you started anything, I'm new to the group, to perhaps entertain a massive class action, like people all over the country that unite in a singular lawsuit against the federal government? Because I just don't see how I can do that as an individual while I'm still hoping and praying to get my baby back. But I could certainly join a group of 50,000 people.
Let me answer that. Okay. First of all, to have a civil action lawsuit against the county, the state or whatever. Every case is different.
The feds. This would be against the federal government. You see, we would be prevailing. We would be going to the imaginary fund of resources, because ultimately, isn't it the Department of Health and Human Services that also is a source of funding for the local entities? Or am I wrong?
No, I don't think so. But then that's a question for Attorney Davis. I mean, you guys can ask him that question tonight at 7 p.m.
I'm so Nargis, pardon me for interrupting you, but I do recall Attorney Davis citing, he had an anecdote, and I believe the case involved a grandmother and the mother who wanted to save the child, and the child was going up for adoption. And they filed, I think it was a civil rights lawsuit in conjunction with also a lawsuit, a pleading lawsuit with the federal office in DC of Health and Human Services. And those agencies ruled that the local agency was wrong. They couldn't command them to return the child, but they said, well, we'll take your funding, if I remember that correctly. And then they did return the child.
Okay, I have to hear that myself in order for me to take your word. Not that you're lying or anything, but I'm very careful not to give people the wrong information.
Sure.
So I would rather hear that from Davis himself. I don't know if there's a guest for tonight's show, but you're more than welcome to come as a guest tonight, and I can, have Mr. Davis introduce all of you. Dr. Fowler, Auntie Barb, and I love that name. I love that. And Mr. Darren Y. If you guys want to join tonight, that'd be great. And
Get
you
in
guys
there.
can
I
ask
don't mind humping a little more.
and you guys can ask that question. How's that? How does that sound?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, thank you.
I mean-
Because just in terms of action or what we can do or how we can implement this oversight and cut
That's a
off the
good
feeder
question.
system.
That's a good question. I think you guys really need to ask that question. And I think, like I said, I think you guys should be on this tonight. If he's still gonna do the show, because I don't know his schedule tonight. But last night he said he was doing the show tonight. So,
Okay.
I can let him know, and then that would be the perfect time. And I think he's gonna love this group because you guys are amazing. I love you guys very much.
Well, we love you
Showing the
too.
love.
Yes.
Loving it up.
And
Love you up. Love you
don't
up.
for-
Loving it up, Miss G. Miss G 2024.
I'm so appreciative of all of you. And I'm still looking forward. My team here, which consists of the people that tuned in earlier, we have been looking for a long time to get the attention of people that have these big platforms.
Mhm.
I don't necessarily totally subscribe to everything that they present on their platforms, but just people that have the exposure
Mhm.
to try to figure out who out there in the YouTube world who would actually take the time to take this up, who has a following of, millions of viewers or something like that. 'Cause
That's my goal, is to get people to really pass the information. There is, so like I said before earlier to you guys, a lot of people judge people that don't have their children, or grandparents that don't have their children, but they don't know the system is broken. I kid you not. The people that I know, CEOs I worked with, previous employees I used to manage, me and them have always been in connection with each other. Always. We've never lost track of one another. And when I explained to them what I've learned and what I found, they didn't believe me at first. They started believing and hearing and researching after they started watching my shows with Attorney Davis, right? Now that I'm back doing this show again, they're following the show right now. They actually texted me, about 25 of them are listening to
Yep.
everything
I'm
we're
blowing
talking
up
about.
too.
So
Yep.
that's what I'm trying to tell you guys. They did not know because they thought the system works. So we just need to bring the word out there to, like I said, to people who did not have a case either. Just like I was texting you guys in the group text, people that don't have any cases, they need to hear this shit. They need to learn about this, because when we go out and rally and protest for our voices to be heard, for parental rights, to stop TPR, to stop trafficking our children, to stop selling our children for cash, everybody needs to protest. The streets shouldn't even be empty with this protest. That's my goal. My goal is to get the system, expose them, and get everyone higher up to listen. But they are not going to be forced to listen unless we protest. We need to be heard. Five, 7 people in a city, in a county is not going to be enough. 15 people in a county is not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough. And a matter of fact, I want to make one thing clear to you guys. If a parent, if say your case is in LA, and by the way, before I finish that comment, that statement, I'm gonna tell Miss, I forgot her name, Miss Webb. Miss Webb, I want you to call the 888 number. I don't know where the number went. It was posted.
It'll pass by in a minute.
Oh, call the 888 number. I'm not sure why it's doing that. It used to be just posted on there. Grace, if you can just post a number on the page, if you can. Do you guys see it? I don't see it. Jesus Christ. Anyways, it's 888-888. I forgot the number. Oh my God. Let me. Okay, David said to rerun for tonight, so he's not going to do the show.
That means you like this one.
Where is the
888-888-6582.
There you go, 6582. Thank you. How did you get that? Okay, here
somebody just posted it. Fight CPS with Miss G.
Oh, here it is. See now.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. This number should be on there, Grace, at all times, please. It's very important. But anyways, what I was trying to say, that please call me at the office, ask for Miss G, let them know that you were on that you were, watching the show, today's show, and because I know DCFS, your case must be in LA County. So I do want to talk to you and then see what we can do to help you out. Also, we need, like I said earlier, guys, we need to bring the word out there. We need to make sure that everybody is aware, and we need to make sure the streets are not empty. Does that, you guys understand why I'm saying that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Understood and agreed. And I suppose in my own visioning, I think of massive physical protest, but I also think of infiltrating the lobby floor at the same time.
Right.
Senate floor and at the same time, because that's where the real policy changes can occur.
Yeah. And also,
I'm so sorry. So who are the lobbyists who would get behind this, and what is the dollar incentive for someone to get behind this? The big politicians, the big celebrities.
I know. See, the thing
they're all on board of that Epstein Island stuff. You look at that list of that flight manifest.
Not all, baby. Not all.
No, I know not all. There's not all. You can't incorporate everybody into anything, but I'm just saying that.
Aren't there some, pardon me, my dear, pardon me, Darren, aren't there some politicians and celebrities who have also been foster care children?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know. This whole corruption thing is just sickening, how it involves people and, who's involved and what and why. And it's just whole thing. I mean, how you can even do anything in your life to affect a child, a human being, a baby, a little tiny innocent thing.
A demon wants destruction, distract, kill, invade, create chaos.
And what the problem is you're finding out since Nancy Schaefer got taken out, everybody's like, whoa. I mean, the closest person, the closest person you have right now is Connie Raguli, would be the closest one that you even have coming up the ranks of trying to step out in front of, do this thing into this. That's the only person you even have in the politics side.
What's happening to her?
If you have these people that really don't have a lot of substance, but they have an amazing following.
Right. We just need a face. Be the face,
Okay, this is what I came up with. In every state, if you guys are watching this, in every state, you guys need to start some movement. Meaning, contact me, Darren, Auntie Barbara, and Dr. Fowler, I'm calling everybody on. Dr. Fowler, talk to us. Let us know what state and where do you want to start this, and we should be able to help each other, even though we're from different states. But
Mm-hmm.
social
Right, we
media is
organize strength in numbers, mass it to
organized.
one
That's
place.
organized, and
Right.
the streets should not be empty. I'm telling you, when they did the George Floyd protest,
Johnny Depp listening to us, please
That
help.
was a perfect example because you had the BLM movement. They had the street capacity to get people on the street. They also had the backing
right,
of the politicians, the celebrities, and they had the access to
oh
the
yeah,
media
that's
to
true.
do
Yeah,
the fundraising. So they had every tier just from the standpoint of a successful movement. I'm not talking
Right.
about the actual merits of it at all.
right.
I'm not talking about what really happens or the facts of it, just the way that it was structured and the effectiveness of it in reaching the people. Every American who's awake has heard of George Floyd. And every American, whatever your political views are, that's nothing to do with this, has heard of BLM. So what did they do? And how did they get started? They had what would you call it? What do you call it? A manifesto. They started with a manifesto, which is their rules of order and what they want. Then I don't know how they started with the rest, to tell you the truth, but that's what I would like to discover and help with. But they really had every tier covered of appeal to the public.
Yes.
And they're still going strong despite all of the exposés and all of the rest. They haven't been defunded, or they still assert themselves every time there's whatever the kinds of events are that they push.
Well, this is why I said because people aren't going to respond to this until what they need to see is children going back into the arms of their family. You need to get that into people's think about it. If you're talking about this and like how people respond, people and children. So flip the script. We're not the abusers, they're the abusers, and we're allowing this to happen. Flip the script, build it, they will come. But show people you got to tweak their hearts. Show them what's really happening because this isn't a lie. This is real. They're stealing our freaking kids. This is not made up junk. And the people that they'll say, well, some of them are this. Well, guess what? They're not on this show. They're not fighting like this, like George said. They're not fighting. They've given up. That's fine. They didn't deserve it. And those kids probably are better off now. Thankful because the system was made to help those in need. This is too big. It's too much. It needs to be, needs to be like remade. It needs to be abolished and it needs to start from the ground up. There's no way you can fix
Joel
this.
Shoemaker just wrote, Doctor, he meant that to you. We should get something together for a rally in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania at the Capitol building. That's a good ally for you right there.
Mr. Shoemaker, I'm so ready.
Yeah.
I'm there. Just tell me
oh my God. You know what, Dr. Fowler, I don't want to put your cell number everywhere, obviously, because we don't want to do that. So Joel,
I have a number.
Do you know him, Darren? Do you know Joel Shoemaker?
I do not.
No.
Okay, Joel, call the 888 number, ask for Miss G, and tell them from the show because you want Dr. Fowler's phone number. And if Dr. Fowler agrees, I'll be happy to give you her number and you guys can program it together. Is that okay, Dr.?
It's more than okay. I can actually even publish a number because I can give it to you later, however you think the appropriate protocol is.
No, it's up to you. But if I publish it on live, it's going to be there forever. And I don't think you want that. I tried that before. I had to change my number because it was like all hours of 4 or 5 o'clock in the mornings and 3 and 2 o'clock in the morning. But Jolie's going to call me and I'll give him your number. And he's so cute. I just love this guy. I didn't even know him.
I do have a number that isn't my main number if I can get access to it, and I don't really mind because
we need Joel to have access like real fast. So I am going to text Joel right now from my cell your number, okay? And then I can actually have him in a group text between me, you, and him, if you like that. How's that?
I would just guide me and lead me. You guys know.
Look at her. She's so happy.
I'm ready.
She's
I
ready.
know, you're so like
She's
a
ready
little
to make
child
a
getting.
difference.
Yeah,
I know. I like this Joel
that's
shoemaker
great. See,
guy.
that's what we need more of that. More of that.
I do.
Joel, I know you're listening. I would love for you to be on the show with us and make a difference with us. And I think that'll be great. So let me know. I'm gonna text you, and I'm going to ask you. Yeah, I really would like that.
And my dear Joel, yes, we're ready for the legislative floor. Let's do this.
Okay, let's do it. So
Let's go in there and get in there, and we'll find the allies as we find the allies. They're there.
Got it. You got it.
And the young
Build it and they will come.
I even feel very strongly that the young man who was just elected to something, I'm so embarrassed, but I know he had a health crisis and he was just newly elected in Pennsylvania. And I think people like him, I just have a feeling, would be willing to be advocates.
Hey, guys, shut the phone off, whoever's doing that.
Oops. I also have a feeling that, oh my gosh.
She's so popular right now. Listen to her. She's going to be red for the next 2 hours.
Turn it off, Dr. Fowler. No, turn it off.
Miss G can't stand that you're more popular than her right now.
You guys, I told you turn off your phone. Oh my God.
It wasn't by intention. I beg your pardon. I turned it on to get the numbers. Sorry.
Yeah.
So now it's Miss G, Dr. Fowler, and the gang.
Well,
I'll fix that right after the show, Georgette.
I know you called us a gang, so
you guys, honestly, I love this settings. I just wish the rest of the gang was with us today. But I know that Michael Cardina, you guys used to see him on my shows a lot. Auntie Barbara knows him.
Yeah.
And Darren knows him, of course. And he's going to be only doing it on Fridays with us, not on Thursdays, unfortunately. But I'm glad he's going to be back because I love him.
Bring the fire, Michael.
Yes. And him and Darren are close. They're like buddies right now. So it's going to be great having them.
We're going to war, as Georgette says. We look like today I kept my clothes on because she told me I had to, but she says normally I look like I'm going to war.
Yeah.
What are you talking about, gangs and we're East Coast, West Coast? This is a lot.
East Coast.
Because he used to do the shows with me, Auntie. No, Auntie Barbara, listen to this. When he used to do the shows with me, he would be like in a jacket.
I saw him.
All of a sudden, he takes it off. All I see is like half of his boobs are showing, and all the tattoos and all of this. I'm like, what happened? Like, what the hell is happening here?
I'm like, all right, I can't take this anymore. Let's go. We're getting this done.
I know. He's like, hot and bothered. He's like taking things off. I'm like, oh my God. So I told him, I said,
that's what we got to do. That's what every episode I got to get a shirt like Hulk Hogan used to, right? And at the end of it, we'll rip it open.
Did you see that?
See, there we go. I do like this. I get, I strip down into but I start with a suit jacket on and all this stuff.
Yeah, it's like he's going to war. He's going to, like, he's a Marine or, he's an Air Force pilot or something. He's like, yeah, I'm going to go get you now.
Yeah, I forgot. I don't know if you can see this or not, but I came up with this. Look at this. We need a new ribbon. Look at this. We need to come up with something like this. This is Fight CPS, but it's got the yellow, the black, the red, white, and blue, the grays, like all the meanings of things.
Oh, by the way, you guys, I just bought a sweatpants outfit from a website it's about CPS. They do all CPS stuff. I'm going to share it with you guys tomorrow.
Yes.
But I bought that. It's like, Stop CPS. It's all about private, positive messages, right? And there's a cartoon page that I really like. It's a design. It's about the bear. It's a bear, and then social workers are there, and then they came and said, "Mama Bear, we want your cub." So basically, and that person wrote a really clear message on there as how stupid they are, that an animal would not allow them to take their babies, but yet the controlling humans to steal their babies. I know I want you guys to know that, and the website has like hidden cameras and all kinds of stuff. You guys really need to look at that and be
Yes.
able, like, if every one of us wears a message, we are
Mhm.
going to bring it out there. It's very important that we're going to bring it out there. We're going to bring it across to everyone that, hey, you know,
We're gonna stop the stigma. Stop
yeah,
the stigma
let's
and
stop
say
it.
that this
Let's
is
stop
real.
this shit because our children are being trafficked. If you guys, you should YouTube the judge that was arrested. Hopefully, they didn't bring the video down. A judge that was arrested at Memorial Day weekend of this year, sex trafficking children in a van to Texas. He was arrested by the federal government. I mean, by the by the FBI.
Yeah.
So I need you guys to be aware that when I tell you guys something, is because I did my research. So
Mhm.
you guys also need to do your research and find out what I'm telling you.
Mhm.
But right now, they're trying to keep us silent. That's their main goal, is to keep us silent. And do you think, Oprah and all these rich actors and TV, whatever, shows, whatever the fuck they do nowadays, these people are kept silent too?
Dr. Phil, listen to us, buddy. He goes after those CPS people. Dr. Phil, come
Dr.
on,
Phil,
man.
I have never seen him go after CPS people.
You never have?
No, he
Never seen
doesn't.
his episodes?
Nope, he doesn't.
I'll show. I'll send you some.
Okay, well, if Dr. Phil goes after CPS people, I would like to see that damn episode.
I would
Mhm.
be more interested to hear about that too, because if he's really
Watch
sincere,
this.
then he certainly has a claim.
Yeah.
He certainly has a following. He certainly
Mhm.
has a platform.
Right.
You see, so in my mind, I'm a very linear thinker, and I always think of stratagem or steps to take. And I suppose, again, in my mind, I imagine tiers of
Yeah.
things that happen simultaneously.
Yeah.
There we
To
go right here.
the backing and the
Mm-hmm.
exposure. And of course, I would love to hear any ideas that you all have already activated.
Yeah,
But-
it's gonna be, you guys. We're gonna make this happen. I'm determined. It took me a lot of years. I've been talking about this since 2021.
Mhm.
This setting right here, I have it's like I had to. How can I tell you? It's like I had to patent it or
Oops.
something.
Sorry,
In
sorry,
my
sorry.
head, it had to be the perfect group of people.
Yeah.
Because if we're not in on it together, it will never be where the message needs to be. Does that make sense? I am a go-getter. I'm not a lazy person. And I like to defend people's rights. You know why? Because the people, we all need to be one. When
Mhm.
we are united together, whether you're black, purple, green, um, aqua blue, it doesn't matter. We are humans. We bleed. Our blood is the same color. Unless you're a fucking alien and your blood is green, then I don't want to know you. Okay? But if we all have the same color blood, we all need to unite together and be one unit. When we are one, we're stronger. When we are none, we are weaker and helpless. You guys need to understand why the government is trying to divide people, race. Why? Because if you guys unite, if all of us unite, they're going to be scared of us.
Mhm.
Do you guys understand that?
Yes.
You
And
guys-
remember the phrase divide and conquer. They want to divide us so they can conquer us.
Exactly. And that's not that, we need to be heard. And that's, like I said, that's my goal. So let's make it happen. And tomorrow at 1 p.m. is going to be another show, Real Talk with Miss G and the gang. And let's join in tomorrow. And please, please, please share the videos and share the links to friends and family, co-workers, anyone that you want them to know the real story about CPS. Anyone, even your neighbors, let them know the real story about CPS. And I highly recommend that, you guys. And I am busting my ass on the other end, helping clients in our office. And if you guys have a California case, LA County case, please don't hesitate to call me. Call the office and ask for Georgette or Miss G, whichever, or GT. I have so many different names in the office. GT,
They know
Miss T, and Georgette. I know. 3 names. But honestly, I have talked to so many people. It doesn't matter what time it is. Usually the receptionist will give you my cell number and they will tell you to text me if you ask for it. Or they will give me your cell number and your name and I will text you from my cell. My cell is accessible 24/7. People text me and call me all hours of the day and night. Darren knows, Miss Auntie Barbara knows, and Dr. Fowler knows as well. I am available, and my mission, like I said, I'm not a lazy woman. I work really hard to help mothers gain custody of their children and fathers who are actually worthy to be called fathers, such as Darren and Michael. And now I have my gut is telling me about Joel Shoemaker, who is like literally on this platform right now communicating with us. There's a lot of good dads out there and there's a lot of good moms out there,
Mhm.
but we need to target those parents. We need to make sure that we help them. All right, we're not talking about the parent that beheaded their babies because they're crying. We're not talking about the parent that stabbed the baby to death because he doesn't want to feed him. I mean, we're not talking about any of those. We're talking about legit parents who actually are innocent and they are victim of the system. And
Mhm.
they remember this, the system wants to divide us. Please, I'm begging you, Latinas, Latinos, African Americans, Caucasians, Asians, Middle Easterns. Is there another race? Oh, I think that's it, right? No, I'm so tired.
No
Everyone,
worries.
We're all Americans.
You
all
can,
Americans. What? It's not just Americans. I don't want just Americans. I
Right.
want everybody. I want
It's a
everybody.
worldwide thing.
Uh huh.
you guys, I'm kind of wondering.
Oh my
Yeah.
God! Wait. Stacy, I heard that before from an attorney that worked with us. The beheaded was social services media used to show a need for their services to stop. Yes, yes. I heard that, by the way. I did. You guys, the media is. You guys have to be careful what we hear from the media. Um, and I think Stacy just woke my mind, and I think um like I said, one of our attorneys told me that before. She said they want you to make sure that the media announces that there's a need for DCFS. There's a need for the social workers because
Mhm.
they hype the story. They make it more than what it is,
Mhm.
but it's all to make sure the public, the ones that don't have a CPS case, once will not try to get rid of the social workers and DCFS and all that shit. Um, Conquer and divide, Pam. Media lies, fake news. I absolutely agree with you, baby girl. When I say fake news, they're like, "Oh, you're a Trump supporter, or you're this, or you're that." It has nothing to do with Trump. Doesn't have anything to do with um, Democrats or Republicans. I am speaking as an in, like I am an in private, like I am. When it comes to my election and who I vote for, I'm
I'm voting
independent.
for Miss G.
I vote for me, 2024, like Darren said. But I vote, I am an independent voter. But what I see the Democrats are doing, I now everything that Trump was saying, President Trump was saying, it's all coming to life now. Like I literally couldn't believe my ears. So what I'm
Mhm.
trying to tell you guys, don't believe don't believe the news because they do lie. And thank you again.
Sure do.
What what did you say?
They certainly do.
Yeah, they do. They really, really do.
One of the things that I will be wondering, I suppose, when we meet again, and I do hope and pray I'm invited to come back after my little faux pas this evening.
You've redeemed, I believe.
Thank you. I have a little, insecurities. I'm so sorry, you guys.
Uh,
I don't know. You got to get, I don't know how this works. So, but I'm also wondering, it's just a question, and I don't even know how to express the question. But I wonder if there's a social media something or other that could be set up that would specifically target and identify these social workers.
Oh my God, that's a good question too. I wish Mr. Davis was on the show.
And name them. In other words, I wonder if, for example, if I could come on and go, "Hi, everybody. Here's Miss So and So, who was responsible for the kidnapping of my
Okay,
grandson."
wait. Okay, that's a good. Dr. Fowler, you're coming up with a lot of good ideas. I want you to write down those two things that we talked about. If you
Sure.
could write it down, I'm going to ask Attorney Davis if he can be on our show tomorrow at 1:00. And you
Okay.
guys can ask him all these questions, but Darren, make sure you're decent. We don't want to see your nipples on the
I
show.
just look at this is my newest Ralph Lauren. Check this out.
Miami Vice. There you
Look
go.
at this, baby. Huh?
Wait a minute,
Look at
Bart.
this.
I think we got our fundraiser. We got a fashion show here.
There you go.
Yep. Hey, we'll strip for cash for the kids. You know?
Oh my God. But you're sending the wrong message right now, Darren.
Hey, the bottom line is money funding this thing to get these kids home. We'll do what we got to do and stop at none.
Masculine fathers in the fight.
Somehow Dr. Fowler is still getting more phone calls than all of us put together.
I know, Dr. Fowler. But Dr. Fowler, honestly, write those two questions down, and I'm going to personally ask Attorney Davis if he would like to be with us on the show. If any of you guys are watching and you have a CPS, DCFS case, DHS case, whatever name you guys have in your state or county, please don't hesitate to call that number and ask for Miss G. And please let the receptionist know that that you guys were watching the show, and that way I know who you are, so that way I have an idea of who I'm speaking with. And I'm gonna do my best to call you, and I usually do call everyone, and even if it's 11:00 at night, so when I get to your number,
3 in the morning,
and 3, yeah, we did that too, Mr. Guy. I used to talk to him and Mary like. I used to literally 1:00 in the morning. We would talk for hours, or 12:30 in the morning, and that's how I got to know him. We used to do FaceTime, him and Mary and me, and I mean, he's seen me in my worst, you know.
Yeah, she just today was too much for her. She was just too upset. She couldn't pull herself together, you know.
I know.
So she'll be around, and she'll be big. It's time for her voice to be heard.
She's never gonna be okay though, Darren. Your wife
No, she never will. No, we will. Nina will come home one day.
Nobody is okay with this. No one, not even us. We're not okay with this, because you guys have to understand, in order for you to be united, in order for you to be one unit, you have to have compassion for others. If you don't have compassion for others, then get the hell out of the way. Stay home and eat bonbons and watch TV. That's where you belong. But do not come to the circle when you really have no compassion for others. My goal is people who genuinely care about each other. We people should care about each other. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. My neighbor the other day, she's great. I love her. She helped my trash can fell because of the wind, and it was like chaotic outside. She actually texted me to make sure I'm okay, and her husband picked the trash can and put it where it belongs. So that's love, man. A lot of people can just see something like that and say, you know what? No, that's not my problem. That's her problem, right? But you guys have to love one another. Love is the key to success. You know what success is? When we are heard. Success is when we are united. Success is when you make a difference. Just to be rich is not success in my book.
Right, money's not.
You can be rich. Anyone can be rich, but how do you get your money?
Hey, any man can be a father. It takes a real man to be a dad.
It takes a real man to be a dad. There you have it. A real dad will never trash his wife or even his ex-wife. He will never brainwash his kids against the mother. That's a real dad.
Yeah.
This is why I have so much respect for Darren. I have so much respect for Michael. I have so much respect for real dads. And my father is number one among all of you. So I am telling you right now, we need to unite together and we need to be one. And if you guys understand my message, then you will understand what my passion and everybody on this show's passion is. And we're going to make this happen. We're going to make a difference. We have to make a difference. we have to make a difference, because I have a feeling pretty soon we're not going to be able to say shit.
Yeah.
I have a
This is it.
feeling
This is
soon
the
the
end of
army is
times.
going to be on the streets stopping us from coming
Yeah.
outside our homes.
Right.
I
This
don't
is
know
going to
why
be the
I
end
have
of
this
times.
feeling. Yeah.
This is the end of times. It's time
Yeah.
is now. It's like the cheetah's here. Let's make
Yep.
it taller.
And remember, everyone that acts a crime, kills a child, or beats a child to death, they say they're Christian. Think again, because there's
Yeah,
nothing
wrong
in the
answer.
Bible that states any of that should be real. Now, listen
Right.
to me very carefully. I'm going to say it again. The devil knows the Bible very well too.
Yes.
So just because the devil holds the Bible, it doesn't mean Christians are crazy. But the devil wants everyone to say Christians are crazy, especially the media, especially the TV stations. Absolutely. These Mother F's, I mean, they don't believe in God.
Well, from the standpoint of anthropology, traditionally, one of the measures of the value of a nation is the condition of the children,
It's a
Yeah,
and
good
but
one right
God,
there.
secondarily, the condition of the women. So
The
if the
you
women
know
value.
what?
are held in
Did you
captivity,
say that, Nick? So the value of a nation
illiterate,
is what?
and
The
if there's
condition
a
of the
high
children.
rate of infant morbidity and mortality and duress and stress in the child population, that shows a nation that has really no value.
So
Correct.
the value of a nation.
Is the
Say that
condition
again.
is the condition of the children.
That's
The
right.
value of the nation.
Is the condition of the children. And Dr. Fowler, you're absolutely right. That's why, when my mom and dad used to very like, I've never been hit in my life. Me and my brother and sisters, we've never been hit. We've always been disciplined by talking to us. And sometimes it
Discipline.
was,
Yep.
it was discipline, kind of like, oh my gosh, she's gonna be talking to me today, type of thing. Oh my
Yeah.
God, my mom is gonna talk to me again. And my friends used to laugh at me like, your mom talks to you? I'm like, yeah, she talks. And man, it could be an hour or two. Like I was just
Yeah.
killing. But my friends would tell me, no, my mom beats me or my dad hits me with a belt. I'm like, what? What is that? What I realized in Europe, everywhere in Europe and the Middle East, mothers are respected.
Mm-hmm.
Kids are talked to. They're not beaten to death. We actually speak to children. And what I've learned is that there's a lot of violence, a lot of violence. Even in Russia, they respect the mothers. They respect
For,
children.
for many Americans, the way that we treat our children is modeled on the plantation model, irrespective of race, class, and culture.
Right. Right.
Children were woefully mistreated, even the well to do children,
Yeah.
according to history.
Right.
Children who were the children of wealthy planters were not treated very well
Oh, no, we're
until
not.
they reached the age of their maturity. They weren't given the best food and the best conditions of the housing. And part of that is based on the British Commonwealth. And we all know about Charles Dickens and Little Nell and how compassionate he was for the condition of children in Great
You know,
Britain. Were
Well,
modeled
children
after
are
the
seen,
British Commonwealth.
right.
Children who were
seen as
forced.
property.
Go ahead, love.
Children are seen as property. That's why
Yeah.
adoptions are handled in probate court, not
Yeah.
family court, probate court.
All right. Again,
And
then that goes back to them
children
being
were
property
forced
and
to go
it's
into
slavery.
the workhouses in Great Britain. The what do you call it? The workhouse, the poorhouse.
The
Yes.
poor house.
Children were forced to go in the poorhouse and forced into slavery and separated from their parents during the Industrial Revolution. So that came to the States. There's a model for this. And then you had wealthy, well-to-do women who had nothing better to do than decide to be social workers and go down to the areas where the poor and oppressed were and hand out a little bit of charity to make themselves feel good. That's the origin of the field of social work. It wasn't really designed to really emancipate families under duress, but to make wealthy families feel a little better about themselves based on their misuse of power over others.
Wow. I this is sad, you guys. I seriously I mean I am originally, some of you know this, I am a Coptic Orthodox Egyptian. So I am originally from Egypt. And I lived in Egypt as a Coptic Christian. And basically, I have never seen this type of craziness when it came to children. You know, parents beating their children, or I've never seen that. I never grew up seeing that. So
Mm-hmm.
when I came to America, it was a whole new life for me. I didn't
Was it a breath? It
understand.
must have been crazy.
I
Did you?
felt
Was
like
it?
I just didn't know if that was normal. Like I would tell my dad and my mom, and my dad, he says, "What? That's their preference. That's the parents. That's just like mind your business type of thing. That's their lives. What is he gonna do? I mean, how can you make a difference in this big, huge nation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on how they're taught and brought up. But to me, I see that brainwashing your child
Mm-hmm.
worse more than beating your child.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's when I was growing up. This my father slapping me across the face, which happened twice, meant nothing. This is when Dad, I did this, this, and this today. When he did this right here, that was more of a punishment to me. When I knew I disappointed that man. When I
Oh.
Yep,
knew that I hurt that man, he didn't have
yep,
to say anything.
yep.
He didn't have to do anything. That was the level of punishment
Mm-hmm.
that was it.
And I
To know
agree.
that you hurt your father's heart was number one. Like
Yep.
that. Then you're almost more scared if he yelled at you because you're like, "Whew, okay, he's not upset with him. Like,
Wow.
My
like
dad, like honestly, guys, my mom and dad, I swear when I tell you guys this, it was like watching Happy Days on TV. Remember the show Happy Days? That's how my mom and dad interacted with each other. I've never seen them bad mouth each other or uh, say bad things to each other. Never in my life seen that. It was so like my friends used to think that that's not normal because they used to come over my house and they see my dad kissing my mom's hand when she put meals on the table, or you know what I mean. Kind of like there was genuine connection with mom and dad. Genuine, like he would give her a rose every Wednesday because that's the day he met her. It was on a Wednesday at her dad's house, etc. And I mean, that's the same rose. Like my mom loved roses. He would choose one from the yard and he would give it to my mom every Wednesday. And I never understood why. As a teenager at the time, like, okay, now I need to ask, like, why in the name of God do you keep doing this? It's not right. And my dad said, well, that's when I met your mom. And he told me the story. He was engaged with a rich woman in Egypt, and he came from a wealthy family. So his dad and mom wanted him to marry this lady, and then et cetera, et cetera. He met my mom, left the other lady, and he made, like, he told me that was the best decision of his life. Get it? But that's what I saw. So even they died 2 months apart. two
Oh.
months apart. So that's what I saw. I saw love and devotion. But then when I see a husband beating his wife, or when I see a husband slapping his wife and trashing her, or vice versa, or when a woman says, "I don't need a man," and it's like the whole government is conditioning women to divide them away from real men.
Mhm.
Real men out there, and they're turning the real men into monsters, or they're jailing them, innocent men in jail. I mean, it's this whole shit show is ridiculous. That's why our children are born without family. They're born without their family because there's so much division in the world. So much. Well, not the world. I've noticed only in the United States. I can't speak for the rest of the world. I can only speak here. But again, that's why it's very important for us to stand together and make a difference. And when I say American people, I'm talking about the government, okay? Not all Americans are bad, obviously. I'm speaking at the government of America,
Mm-hmm.
okay? All of them. All of them. Public officials, anyone that has a badge, all of them are in on it together. All of
Mm-hmm.
them. They protect each other. A
Mm-hmm.
firefighter can be driving, drinking beer. If he stopped by the police, and I have seen it, you know what the police would do? Sir, go on the passenger side and your wife will be driving. Because the firefighter showed his badge. Nobody wants to get a firefighter in trouble. because he would lose his job. Now, if it was a regular person, just like you and me and everybody, we would be in jail in handcuffs. Right? Or am I wrong?
No, you're
Or is it
right.
okay to drink and drive? I need to know. But then the abuser this is what I'm talking about. The abuser will allow his children to see it. And guess what? The children will cover up for the abuser because they don't want the abuser, the father who's abusing them, to go to jail. So
Mhm.
do you understand the trickery of brainwashing? But the system will see that dad as a hero and will make sure the mother suffers, right?
Mhm.
This is what we need to stop. We need to stop the suffering. Innocent people, innocent moms don't need to suffer. We're not the fucking incubators to the state and counties. We're not the fucking oven for the state and counties just to get babies for them to take from us. And when one woman gets affected, all women should feel the pain. They all need to be affected by it. One is way too fucking many. $35,000, 35,000 children or more are removed from good mothers. I need you guys to think about what I'm telling you. And I pray to God you guys are united with all of us on this platform. And let's make this happen. Candace, thank you so much, baby. Thank you, everyone. I'm gonna end the show now because I think Auntie Barbara needs to go eat, and Dr. Fowler's like, okay, Georgette, like, all right, girl. And then Aaron is like, he doesn't give a shit either way, but but
Wait a minute, but what about the rest of the fashion show?
wait,
Hey, stay tuned for tomorrow. Stay tuned for tomorrow.
For tomorrow. Okay, we've got something to look forward to.
Right?
How about that, Barbara?
oh my goodness, it's so hot up in here.
I can't wait. I mean, I think that's our money maker right there,
Oh,
buddy.
I know. Here. I feel so much better. I can take this one off.
Mary, hey, listen. Mary just got back and she goes, "What the hell are you wearing a suit now for?"
I know, right? This guy, I swear, he is. When we were doing the shows together, I swear it was fashion show every episode. Fashion show. I would see him in a white shirt, takes off the white shirt, puts on a black shirt, then he takes off the black shirt, he puts on a jacket, then takes off the jacket, then puts on another shirt. I'm like, what the hell?
Maybe we've got our celebrity right here.
No, but I know, right? But I think it's because he has the heater on because he lives in Maine and it gets really cold in the winter. And then when you have the heater on, you start getting hot.
I thought it was just because of my looks. Between the heater and the hotness, can't take it in here.
I'm telling you, it's getting hot in here. Just take off
Yeah,
your clothes.
you can't stand the heat. Get out of the bedroom. Isn't that what they say?
I know. That's Darren's song. We should play that song just for Darren. Every time he takes off his shirt, we'd be like, "It's getting hot in here. So take off all your clothes." Darren.
Yep, I'm in it. I'm with it. I'm writing it down in the book right now.
I think
know.
the music would just be kind of spurring him on, but okay,
You guys are too much.
So if you wouldn't mind, I would like to express my truly deepest appreciation for you, Madam Truen, for your cause, for your love, for your dedication. From the moment that we very first met over a year ago, just the privilege of being able to sit with you and Attorney Davis has really been a balm to my spirit and so uplifting and so enlightening. And I thank you and I thank you and I thank you. And your call last night to me changed my whole week around. I thank you so much for remembering me and including me. And then quite by accident, I got repeated calls from Barbara's phone that called me without Barbara's knowledge or consent. And I called back because I thought, oh, California, let me hurry up and call back. And Barbara said, I didn't call you. I'm like, well, really? You didn't? But because your phone called me at 12:07 and this time, and we
It
got
was Barbara. It was Barbara.
we got into,
It was the text messages.
and it was very unlike me, but I introduced myself and I thought, well, Georgette, do you know? And then we finally discovered that through Grace, and we made an amazing connection. Thank you so much, my beautiful sister. And thank you for your cause and your faith walk. And Darren, you are amazing as a dad.
Yes.
To you and your beloved and your baby. I envision your baby being reunified with you.
Amen.
And your child and your children too. And from the bottom of my heart, the terrible weight of guilt, shame, fear, depression that I myself have been dealing with on a daily basis. But through you, I feel the utmost sense of uplift. I don't feel discouraged. I don't feel afraid anymore.
Thank you.
I just thank you. Anything that I can do for this cause, I am here. And Joel, let's hit Harrisburg. Let's make a date for it, and I'm available to this, and I feel like this is what God wants me to do.
There you go. Amen
So,
to that.
thank you.
Amen to that.
Thank
Whatever.
you, Dr. Fowler.
Thank you.
call
Thank you
last
very
night,
much.
That came at God sent you at the right moment. So thank you.
I mean, you guys definitely, we have an amazing team, and thank God. Thank God that you guys are on the same page as me, because I tried this before, and I know, Auntie Barb, I did this before, right? I got enough people in LA to help me, and they backed off on me at the last minute. And I couldn't. I was so distraught. I think I told Darren when one day I talked to him again and Mary. They completely, like, it was so disgusting to me. So that's why I wanted to choose the right people that are not lazy, and they actually have the compassion for others.
Flakes.
Well,
I know Darren is not lazy, and none of you guys are. Go
we've
ahead.
got an invisible congregation of people who do have the energy. They do have the love, and they do have the support, and they do have the prayer. And I'm praying for each person in this circle and for all of our children.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. To be reunified. Amen.
But you guys need to, those of you, and I speak to those of you who understand God, I mean, the Bible, like I do, and understand God. A lot of people say there is no God because he allows terrible things to happen. Remember, God didn't allow this. God doesn't create chaos, but God said you're not going to have a basket full of roses either. God didn't promise us that. But what you guys have to understand, that when I say put on your whole armor of God, put on your whole armor of God, prayers, fasting. I mean, meditation, not medication. I said meditation. Because some of you heard me wrong when I used to say that. I never would say take medication and drugs, ever. You have to understand that's against God. When you numb your pain, that means you have no faith in God. That your faith is only in your freaking self. And where did that get you so far? But what the devil wants you to do is distract you from God so you can blame God for all the shit that's going on in your life. God said, ask and you shall receive. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open to you. God is not a God of lies. God's word is real. God is with us, but he's not going to make us be with him, because that's where Jesus came. And God gave us our choices to make. We make our choices. Either you go here or you go here. That's totally up to the individual.
Yes. He gave us free will.
Free will to choose our path. And I don't want to be with Satan. I want to be with my God. So you do your best to do the right thing in life. If you're working in a job, bust your ass to help other people. Bust your ass. But don't do it to get recognition. Don't do it to get paid overtime. Do it from your heart. Do it from your heart. If a neighbor is cold, you have 5 coats, give them 1 or 2, right? What's wrong with that? You're going to die one day. You think all your coats are going with you? Because you're not taking shit with you. There is no U-Haul behind your ass when they're burying you in the grave. So think again. God, this is our testing ground. This is our boot camp. Either you're the light of the earth, you're the light that shines among wolves, or you're the darkness. So choose wisely and don't be so eager to collect wealth. Be so eager to help others and help children and help mothers and real dads who really are fighting the system. So before you judge, before you start collecting your shit, know that 5 minutes later, you might not be able to breathe again. And all the shit you were working so hard on, it don't matter no more. But when you go meet your creator, he will ask you, what have you done to help others? Remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of us reaps what we sow. It's whatever you do, it will come back onto you. Worse than you could ever imagine. But just because God is slow to anger, don't ever think that he will forget what you've done against people,
Mm-hmm.
the lies you create, because God is not a liar and God hates liars. That's why when I tell you guys I speak my mind, I speak my mind. You think God is happy when I cuss? Of course not. He's not happy. But I pray, I ask him, forgive me, help me. Because when I get upset or about CPS and mothers crying to me all hours of day and night, I want to help them. You understand? I want to help them. It's like I want to take all mothers under my arm and I want to be like, I want to protect them. And fathers, good dads want to also protect their home and their wives and their kids. But the system pushes them away. We need to protect them as well because they're strong and the system wants them to be weak. So you guys need to be focused on everything I'm telling you right now because we need to stand together. Tomorrow, guys, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Thank you so much for hearing us. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Fowler, Auntie Barbara. Actually, I like Auntie Barb. I like Auntie Barb. Auntie Barb. And Darren, I love you with all my heart. You and Mary are amazing. He's an amazing husband and he's an amazing father, you guys. This guy is I love this guy. And I love Mary, his wife. And tomorrow, God willing, you might be able to meet Mary and
Mhm.
see what I see in that woman. Shut up, Darren.
See why I'm so full of it. You'll
You're
see.
full
I
of
got
it
this.
right now. I
Got
just
my
give him a
drill
big head
sergeant.
again. But no, on a serious note, he is a good man. And Michael will be with us tomorrow. And we're going to have a full house tomorrow. So be ready. Get your sleep, Auntie Barb.
Yes.
And Dr. Fowler, get your sleep on. And I will see. Darren never sleeps. But
No, I'll be
Darren
here
never sleeps.
24/7, standing in the same spot.
Likewise.
I'm like the
Likewise.
Statue of Liberty.
Likewise. Last night I called one of our clients because she was distraught. Her hearing is next week. Oh,
Uh-huh.
sorry, this week rather. And she said, Miss G, can I call you because I want to cry? I said, oh, honey, you can call me. We were talking until 3:45 a.m.
Hmm.
I did not sleep at all. Okay, so
Hmm.
just know that help people and love them. That's all I want you guys to understand.
Mhm.
Love
Yes.
is the key. Love is the key. I love you guys. Thank you so
Uh-huh.
much.
Love you, Miss G.
Good
Love you.
night, beautiful.
You guys.
Right
Good
on.
night.
Yeah, good night.
Manana.
Bye, baby.
Bye.
Let's see, that's it.